clever pun.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Josh Wallen.
And we're doing this episode live. A couple of days after the September 2023 Nintendo Direct. We are broadcasting this, streaming this episode on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/DKVine. It's the Sunday after Thursday's September Nintendo Direct. And, you know, we sometimes like to do these live episodes right after the Direct, but then we kicked it originally to Friday to accommodate both our schedules, but also to allow people to call in, since we knew a lot of people were going to be wanting to phone in on this one. Not quite to the levels of, you know, the K. Rool getting into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but it'd be up there. So,
but within spitting distance.
Well, surprisingly. So we opened up the hotline, which, you know, you can always call into at 1-202-630-VINE. But then we also had to delay this episode a couple more days. So we're now doing this on Sunday instead of Friday, which allowed even more people to call in. And this isn't
see, Hyle, anyone can bring you the news, as it happens, right? But only at DK Vine can we take the news and we let it regurgitate within our systems for a few days.
I'm honestly glad we waited a little bit, because if any Direct needed perspective, I feel like it was this yin and yang Nintendo Direct. And I'm not even talking about the Direct itself. I'm talking about the psychodrama, as I've been calling it, that occurred for the 6 days prior to the Nintendo Direct. And because I want this episode to be an accurate snapshot of the time we were living in, I will try to explain for future posterity why this was such a taxing week for anybody running one of the largest Donkey Kong websites on the internet. So it would be one thing, Josh. By the way, Josh, thank you for doing this episode. You have kind of bookended the Nintendo portion of our summer reveal season. You were there for the live June Direct episode, which we did spur of the moment that day. And here you are again at the end of Stinky Ape Summer. This is actually the penultimate episode in Stinky Ape Summer, but basically the last big news we're getting of Stinky Ape Summer. You're here as well. So thank you for agreeing to do this. I realize your own schedule with the Geek Critique is
killing me.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a diplomatic way to put it, but you're doing your Metroid...
Oh, no, I don't mind. I can say it.
You're doing your Metroid Dread video right now.
Yes.
And then I just spring this on you, because I was going to do a conversation about this Direct no matter what, but it was just one of those things where, you know, the usual DK Vine staffers were all kind of occupied, and, you know, I'm a romantic sort of heart, so I liked the poetry, the symmetry of having you on this one as well. And luckily, you were kind of hoping I was going to ask you to be on it anyway, so it did work out, but it's also just coming at a time where you are overworked and stressed out, as is.
Yeah, I was. Me and my wife were talking about the Direct, like, right after it happened, and I was like, ooh, I can't wait to listen to the conversation about that one. And I was like, ooh, you know, maybe I'll be on the conversation about that one. I don't know.
Ooh. So
I get to find out, along with everyone else, what you thought of everything.
So I will be checking in with the live stream here on Twitch, because we are live streaming this episode. And
hello, live stream people.
Hello. We got some familiar faces in there. We've got Crinkle Root, and we've got Dre, our friend Dre, John Tessier, Bluster Kong, 1996. We got Freezer in there. We have Chris. We have Jem, Cameron, Days of Matt. We
remember, Chris, the coffee machine is behind the logo.
So
He'll get that.
I will be checking in as we go along, but we got a lot to get to. This is a jammed pack episode, and as I was alluding to, this was a weird Nintendo Direct, and it was specifically weird for Donkey Kong fans.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to be getting into some things on this episode, but it would be one thing, Josh, if we just had a September Nintendo Direct. I think everybody was anticipating it. It's kind of become the norm. So, we're going to get a Nintendo Direct at some point this month. That would be one thing. They announce it 24 hours beforehand. It doesn't matter what your plans were. All bow to the mighty Nintendo. Uproot your lives to, sit around for 40 minutes and watch stayed reveals and just really awkward introductions of some indie games. But unfortunately, in my opinion, we had a leak. And it was a legitimate leak.
Not Malik, but a leak.
No, Malik was here last episode. Did a bang-up job on that one. I would never say, unfortunately, we had Malik. That's always a good thing. But, yeah, we had a leak, and it was a legitimate leak. It was from a leaker. I don't feel like I need to plug them. I think anybody who's plugged in will already know who they are. If you're not, you can easily find out yourself using, the magic of the internet. But it's a legitimate leaker who revealed some things about the June Direct ahead of time. And the problem with a leak of this sort is, philosophically, I disagree with it. If you're going to reveal something 6 days before, the studio or the company is going to reveal it, you're doing so for one thing, breaking NDA, even if you're not under NDA, somebody's breaking NDA somewhere along the way. But, I understand, fight the power. I get it. I do. But there are real people.
I don't think learning about video game news less than a week ahead of time is the correct implementation of fighting the power.
I agree, because there are real people who work on all of these games, real souls with, ability who put a lot of sweat, a lot of hours, a lot of passion into these games. And when you leak something ahead of time, you're doing so stripped of the intended context, right?
Yeah.
So that's one strike, in my opinion. Another is you are leaking something by egging people on and making them think it's something else entirely. And I've heard the rationale for why this leaker did so. It was to weed out the leakers who were piggybacking off their leaks. And believe me, I have been there. Like we don't leak in the same sort of sense here at DKVI. We will report news when we get it, but usually it's not like, of this variety. It's, hey, this is what's been happening with Donkey Kong for the past decade. We've got the story that you won't hear otherwise.
I do think it's a totally different thing when, like, you're either doing that, you're talking very generally, or you're just discussing something that, happened years ago, or some sort of a canceled project that you become privy to, because that's not, like, affecting anyone's livelihoods. That's not getting anybody's hopes up in, like, a poor way. And, I don't even know myself. I wouldn't say that the leaker in question was intentionally trying to get anybody's hopes up. I think they were just wanting to tease things that they knew about. And then was kind of, because they did actually correct themselves once it became obvious to them that, like, people were getting the wrong idea, so to speak, about what this Donkey Kong news entailed. Because they were like, well, it's not what you think it is. So I don't think that they did this with any malice.
I agree. I can be irritated by it, especially when Donkey Kong news is my livelihood. But
of course.
because then not all eyes, but okay, my DMs, my emails, my mentions on social media were just I had to step away last weekend. I couldn't do it. Like
I apologize for being one of those people to DM you. Because like, of course, that's what's going to happen to you. It's just going to be about. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
Right? Oh yeah. Headlines. But that's it's an old conversation bit. Ask your grandparents. But I think that for me, like, we'll get into the finer depths of this. We'll get into the weeds, but the turmoil that the Donkey Kong and even the broader DKU community has felt since June's Nintendo Direct, since the whole not E3 cycle in June, and just how we're all feeling not all of us, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know you were here. I was feeling definitely deflated. I was feeling kind of like, oh man, like I just don't know anymore. It just feels like even when I know intellectually good stuff is coming, it's just kind of hard to just keep up the brave face, keep up the happy vibes when you're feeling fatigued, when you're feeling tired. And I know everybody's feeling tired waiting for good Donkey Kong news, because the Super Mario Brothers movie came out in April. That was kind of like a sugar high. You know, it wasn't substantive nutrition for us. It felt good at the time, but we crashed, and we crashed hard. And we need a good nutritional meal. And the only way we're going to get that is with a solid new DKU game. A mainline DKU game, be it a Donkey Kong, be it a Banjo-Kazooie, you know, even a ukulele would suffice at this point. It's not me, like, besmirching ukulele. I'm just saying, you know, Donkey Kong and Banjo-Kazooie have a far grander, longer historical lineage than ukulele. That wasn't me casting shade on ukulele. But anyway, you know, at the end of the day, what happened, what was announced, and even beforehand, it was not a big deal. There was no reason for everybody to be wigging out, but it was still 6 days of strife because of the way it was presented to everyone.
So yeah, perhaps we should get into how it was presented.
Well, we have calls, Josh. We already have calls. Okay, here's what happened. I said my DMs were full. I said, you know, my email was full. The DK Vine hotline started blowing up. And I'm not going to play you the calls we got before the rug was pulled out from everybody about 12 hours after the fact. I will play you 2 calls.
Just me too sad.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that timeline. That's just, you know, I won't, because that feels kind of mean, like taking people's genuine enthusiasm from that little window of time and kind of like, it's not us making fun of it, but all the same, I'm not going to do that. We did get calls after the revelation about the leak came to light, and this is from the same caller, and I thought, I should play these calls back to back just so you can get an idea of how people were feeling about mid-morning Eastern time Saturday after the Saturday before the Direct, after the leak came to light, the truth behind the leak. So let's go ahead and play those calls back to back, Josh, and then we'll give our thoughts on this before getting into the actual, you know, real Nintendo Direct itself.
Hey, Hyle. Hey, guests. This is Traveler of the Stars, calling on a lovely Saturday afternoon, or morning, I guess, when I'm calling this. Hope you guys are doing well. Right now, it's Hyle's favorite time of the year, favorite season, Nintendo Direct rumor season, and the rumors are in full force, and yada, 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 yada. I am just calling because the pendulum swung one way of happiness, and now it's swinging the other way of not happiness, and I'm sure, you know, Hyle, who tries to be the steward of happiness, is probably really tired I just wanted to call about, in the event, even if it's not, when an upcoming September Direct will be, the idea of Nintendo announcing a game that, you didn't really want after a long wait. Now, I can directly 100% empathize with this as a Pikmin fan, or a Metroid fan, but I'm already Pikmin. Pikmin 3 released on the Wii U in 2013, so actually before Tropical Freeze. In 2015, Miyamoto said that the next game was going to be close to completion. In 2017, I think, maybe, a Pikmin was announced, and boy, Pikmin fans did not like that. I was not a hater of Hey Pikmin, but that was not the mainline game that we were waiting for, and the whole Miyamoto interview thing is a whole detailed rabbit hole, but fans are pretty sure he didn't mean Hey Pikmin, it was developed by Nintendo, this and that and the other. And, Metroid fans had a similar thing with Metroid Prime Federation Force. We were waiting years for another Metroid game. The wait wasn't as long, I don't think, as Pikmin and Donkey Kong fans had, but Federation Force came out. And boy, that game was not received very highly. But now that, we have Red and Transform got announced, and Samus Returns came out, all this Metroid content, I feel like not a lot of people, but some people have gone back and reevaluated Federation Force. So now that Pikmin 4 has come out, the same has sort of begun to happen for Pikmin. So I guess I'd just ask, Donkey Kong fans to not view any game that Nintendo announces, it's tone deaf for sure. I'm not disagreeing with that, but it's not a mark against Donkey Kong. It's not Nintendo being like, yeah, Donkey Kong fans, let me piss in your cereal. Donkey Kong sucks, He's just a Mario spin-off character, nothing else. He's going to be in Mario Party of 12 and Mario vs. Donkey Kong again. And I think my call is coming to an end, so I'm going to call back really quickly. Hello, Traveler of the Stars again. So just picking up where I left off. I'm not trying to tell Donkey Kong fans, obviously, if there's hypothetically a game like Mario vs. Donkey Kong announced, or just a Donkey Kong thing that they didn't want, or waiting for the mainline game. This spin-off or whatever doesn't preclude a mainline DK game from coming out. Donkey Kong's not dead, especially if there's all this stuff for Donkey Kong. And I know I don't want to have DK Line staff for Jeff Owen strangle the life out of me, because I know he brought up before, the games, if all you care about are the games, then yeah, nothing has really happened. And a theme park or Lego and the DK in the Mario movie isn't going to change anything. But, and I know Donkey Kong is historically bigger than Pikmin and Metroid, so again, I understand that maybe you guys feel a little bit like you deserve a little more, which I get. But, Pikmin and Metroid fans had literally zero, they had nothing, and they were wandering in the wilderness for some longer, like Pikmin fans, or just they didn't feel recognized like Metroid. So I get it, I really do. And I know when Nuts and Bolts was announced, people really didn't like that because it wasn't the Banjo game they wanted. Granted, I think even Hyle agrees that the way they rolled out Nuts and Bolts wasn't the greatest. And the beginning of the game, I'm not a Nuts and Bolts hater, but I don't love how they kind of took the shit on the past games and the fan. Not a big fan of that. And I don't think any Donkey Kong spin-off game would be like that. So I guess that has that going for it. But I guess my thesis is try to judge whatever is announced not as a personal attack towards you and your fandom, but hope that, you'll get another game in the future, and that this game was just another little stopgap, because Federation Force was announced a year before Samus Returns, and that kind of started the Metroid Renaissance. So, I know this is kind of hard to have perspective in right now. I'm 100% not trying to be condescending. I just know how the feeling is of getting a game that you announced. It'd be great if Nintendo weren't so tone deaf about that. I don't know why, when they revealed Samus or Federation Force, they weren't like, here's another Metroid thing, or Hey Pikmin, I think they do it as another game in a series that's going to make fans happy, which for some is true, but yeah, that's definitely being tone deaf. But again, it's not them being malicious. So, I don't know. Just wanted to say that. I hope everyone does well, is going to be doing fine, and I hope, Hyle, you take care of yourself and don't, nothing bad happens to you. Okay.
Thank you for the 5 minutes, where I could, take, some sips of my beverage, Traveler of the Stars. Always great hearing from you. I do appreciate that the conversation has gotten to the point where now our callers have to have a thesis where they are also like going on and on and on to make a grand point. And I'm just like, I've taught you all so well.
Admittedly, when I would call in, I would write a script ahead of time. I'll make no bones about that.
Eventually, these episodes are going to hit 7 hours long because everybody's going to want to have their own multiple hour just statement on Donkey Kong or Rare or what have you. So this was from last Saturday, the Saturday before the Nintendo Direct, before we even had it officially announced. And this is after the reveal that this leak, which for 12 hours people thought the leak was suggesting that a big game that was going to be announced for the September Direct was going to be the big new mainline Donkey Kong game that we here at DK Vine have been talking about for a couple of years now, that we have been led to believe is in the works. I say that just because, of course, we have not gotten any updates on it since we learned about it. And the only reason we learned about it was because of the shift from development at a studio, Vicarious Visions, here in the States to Japan. And because that trade-off happened, we kind of learned about it before it got shut behind closed doors. So this is what people thought was going to be finally revealed. Not for this holiday season, obviously, but hey, we're working on this. Look forward to it in 2024. So, and there was a lot of just off the wall hyperbole based on that. They're obviously announcing the Switch 2 in this Nintendo Direct. So this is the Switch 2 launch title. It's just calm down, people.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's people were going because people talk themselves up. They convinced themselves that, well, obviously the Switch 2 is getting announced this Direct. Where do they come up with this? I've no idea, but I think it's just kind of the feedback loop where it just becomes, people just convince themselves it's going to happen. I've been there. I've been in that ecosystem where you just kind of start believing your own self-generated hype and you whatever. But,
and then you are let down when inevitably what you decided was definitely going to happen does not happen. Yeah.
Now in this
We've
case,
all been there to some extent.
Right. Now in this case, the Donkey Kong game itself was, people were led on to believe it was Donkey Kong, the Donkey Kong series, derivative of Donkey Kong Country, be it 3D, be it 2D, be it some form of Donkey Kong Freedom made anew by Nintendo or whatever this game is going to be. So,
and this is when I heard about it, and this is also when I messaged you about it, because I'm like, let's not get our hopes up here, but hey, it's looking pretty good.
For the record, Josh, when you messaged me about this stuff, you're one of my colleagues, so
right.
It's not so much that I get anxious when I hear from you. It's when I feel like the public is demanding me to respond to something like this. And for the record, I generally don't engage with leaks of this sort. I just don't do it. I feel like, again, I've stated my position, but I feel like it's just sort of an affront to the developers, and I don't want to be in the game of needlessly raising hopes and expectations. So
yeah, I really don't get it, because you and I, in both independently and dependently of each other, have been, as the Z-list internet celebrities that we are these days, we've both been privy to things, and it's if I went and told people that, like, I'd never hear about anything else again. Why would I do that?
Right.
Like, I don't feel like it'd be our place to do it.
Right. Like, if I really wanted to, like, burn some bridges, sure, I could get several weeks of stories out of some stuff I know. I wouldn't do that, though, because then what am I going to do? Like, okay, so it's obvious that this leaker is, like I said, is a credible source. They're either involved with the direct production, or they know somebody who is, and they're getting select info sent their way. So I'm not disparaging their credibility, because that's what some people thought I was doing when I did make one or two comments about it on social media without directly engaging with it, where this is after the rug was pulled out and people realized it wasn't going to be Donkey Kong, the next game, the EPD game, whatever, where I said, don't let these, like, the direct hype cycle bring you down. This is silly. Like, these are corporate presentations designed to hype you up for pieces of entertainment that they hope you buy. Like, this is no reason for you to ruin your weekend or your month.
Right.
Because, yeah, I get fatigued. Sure, I was last June, but it's one thing to be sort of, like, let down because you're not walking away with really anything you're hyped about. And it's another to get bent out of shape about the possibility that there will be a direct and you won't get it's just
right.
Several degrees of inanity that I just can't abide in my life at this point. So I said that, and people came after me and said, well, you're not credible.
Okay.
I was trying to give a pep talk, and just, like, calm people down and assure people it's going to be okay one way or another. And they thought, like, I was attacking this leaker. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, they clearly know something. I'm not coming after them. I just
Twitter truly is where nuance goes to die, Hyle.
I know. Yeah, I know. So anyway, I don't want you to think like I'm talking shit about this leaker. I disagree with it. I'm not, they clearly know something or some things that are up. So, but like I said, the whole thing of leaking something 6 days before it goes live strips it of any context. And that doesn't sit right with me, especially because there is no reason, Josh, to compare a Mario versus Donkey Kong game to a mainline solo Donkey Kong game. And that's inevitably what happened with this leak, is that people...
And, like, that's what was, like, immediately... Because, okay, so from my perspective, what happened was, we, like everyone else, I heard about, okay, there's going to be Donkey Kong news of some kind, and based on... It was like a perfect... combination of, like, rumors and knowledge that led pretty much all Donkey Kong fans in the know to think, okay, well, this might be the big one, and then to be disappointed when it wasn't. And as soon as it came out that it wasn't, because what happened is the leaker was like, it's not what you think it is, like, you don't see him here, but who's Donkey Kong fighting in this GIF? And it's like from the Mario movie of DK charging to get Mario.
You're right.
Like, what was immediately exhausting to me, like, because, obviously I'm with you. I know that if this is real, it has no bearings on whether or not a new mainline Donkey Kong game happens. But I was just immediately like Traveler of the Stars said, my first thought was, well, there are going to be people who react the way that people reacted when Nuts and Bolts happened. Or when Federation Force. That was immediately the two examples that spring to my mind as well.
Federation Force, I think, sprang up in the DK Vine staff, the inner circle. That's what I think we all jumped to, because Federation Force is probably the prime example for me, no pun intended, because that came at a very volatile time for the Metroid fandom, after the whole should have been Metroid drama of 2013 into 2014. And then Federation Force was announced. And of course, it was in no way the Metroid game that the hardcore Metroid fandom wanted. But it also had no bearing on them getting a new Metroid Prime game or a new 2D Metroid game, which, the latter they've already gotten. You're doing a video about it right now, Josh. The former is in development hell, but hey, at least they announced it.
It is now comparatively a very good time to be a Metroid fan.
Right. And meanwhile, we're just sitting here saying should have been Donkey Kong EPD.
Right.
But, it's just...
swings and roundabouts.
But yeah, like Mario vs. Donkey Kong has no bearing on the Donkey Kong series. And that sounds like I'm being snarky towards Mario vs. Donkey Kong. It's not. I have my own philosophical issues with the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. I've had them over the years, but I mean no ill will towards it when I say, historically Mario vs. Donkey Kong has never impeded any Donkey Kong game elsewhere. So let's just get into this, Josh. I feel like we've been building up to the actual direct for too long now. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, the game that it actually is. So they announced the Nintendo Direct was actually happening the Wednesday beforehand, and then Thursday happens. I hate when they do that too, because I was hoping for Wednesday, because I was like, Wednesday would be the most convenient day for me. And then no, it's Thursday. So Thursday comes around, and thankfully the bandage is ripped off like almost immediately after the whole Splatoon 3 DLC reveal. Then they go immediately into the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, which is introduced in like the headline style. Like, here we're going to be rattling off some games for you, and the very first one is Mario vs. Donkey Kong. But it turns out it's not even a new game necessarily. I mean, it's a new presentation of an old game, but it's a remake of the original Game Boy Advance Mario vs. Donkey Kong, coming out February 16th, 2024, just in time, just slightly edging out the 20th anniversary of the original release. That's all it is. It's a remake of the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. This is what caused 6 days of chaos in the Donkey Kong community. And look, we just talked about this game on the Kongversation a couple of weeks back. This is what's so weird for me, is that Cameron and I just spent a significant chunk of the episode where we discussed Charles Martinet's retirement discussing Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And contrary to the, DK Vine tradition in our discussing of Mario vs. Donkey Kong, we were actually heaping praise upon it, talking about how fun Charles Martinet's Mario was in this specific game. So to have it just all come back to us so quickly is kind of a weird feeling. It's kind of like we were dialed in. We knew something was in the air. Oh Lord. And we pulled it out of the ether. But yeah, ironically, it seems like Charles Martinet, despite retiring, his voice clips will be used in this game. It's Grant Kirkhope's Donkey Kong that's been replaced with the current Donkey Kong voice actor Takashi Nagasako. And so I'm like, well, okay, so the guy who just left Mario, he's sticking around in this game, but we are getting new Donkey Kong voice clips throughout.
Yeah, it's been long enough since the last time I tried to get into Mario vs. Donkey Kong that I didn't even clock that. But yeah, I was like, if I'd thought about it for a second, I definitely would have.
And it's also funny. There's just this parallel here, because the original game, Charles Martinet recorded all new audio for Mario, but all of Grant Kirkhope's audio clips were, of course, taken from Donkey Kong 64. And now it's vice versa. It's Martinet's audio is the archived one, and Donkey Kong has the all new audio being recorded. It's just funny life.
Yeah, I'll say about Mario vs. Donkey Kong. One, I think, let's see. The fact that it leaked, the fact that we knew what we knew was, or at least what we believed was, a new Mario vs. Donkey Kong game was coming. I think if the leak hadn't happened, then obviously, like you said, it would have avoided like 6 days of unnecessary hand-wringing and drama, so that would have been a good thing.
Definitely.
At the same time, like, knowing about it ahead of time and being like, okay, yep, here it comes, here's the new Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And then, the fact that it was a remake was, like, it was a little bit of a good sign, I think, because it's like, okay, well, it being a remake means it's really not going to take too much, like, production time away from anything else. Not that it would anyway, but, just the sort of the philosophical aspect of it. The other thing that made it work out was because, like, I just spent most of the previous week being like, Mario versus Donkey Kong, that's fine, it's no big deal. And then this trailer comes out and I'm like, okay, well, this actually looks pretty good, though.
Yeah, like, I
kind of had lowered expectations about it, but it came out looking really nice.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with this, Josh. I know people... I think they like Angry Hyle, so they like when I have some sort of like irritant like itch about a game. But my beef with Mario versus Donkey Kong is 20 years in the past, or even 10 years in the past. Like I'm over it. I will say, so I will explain to anybody who doesn't know my history. With Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So I know the game and the series has its fans, as it should. But it's going to be a tough sell to me, the Donkey Kong diehard, when you take the heroic protagonist of my favorite series and you make him the villain. Even if, the history behind Donkey Kong v. Mario has that dynamic. When you strip the context that the villain of the original arcade game was this Donkey Kong's father or grandfather, then it's really also going to bug me. But my real issue with Mario versus Donkey Kong, and I've spoken on this recently on the Kongversation, is they're mostly just Mario games. Aesthetically, in presentation, they're Mario games with Donkey Kong as the boss. It's an appearance by Donkey Kong as an NPC villain. Pauline appears in the sequels, but, even Pauline's sort of been claimed by the Mario series after Freedom fell through and Odyssey grabbed her. And, I remember when I played through the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the GBA, when I played it through to completion, and it kind of bummed me out just because I didn't enjoy it, probably because of that dynamic. Like, it's a perfectly finely constructed game, but it's just one of those things where it doesn't click with me. It doesn't click with my brain. And that's okay. Not every game has to.
But it is also the case that, like, the context of the time that it came out, because it came out, 2003, 2004?
Yeah, 2004.
Yeah, so it came out just a year and change after the buyout, and at that time there was, a lot of worry among Donkey Kong fans, like, what is Donkey Kong going to be without Rare? How is he going to be portrayed? And so now this game comes along, and it seems to basically just confirm all of our worst fears that, well, Nintendo's just going to regress him back as close as... They're going to keep Rare's design, but they're going to bring him all the way back to what he was before Rare and just act like all of that never happened. And of course now the remakes coming out, and now we know that's not... that wasn't forever. That wasn't...
Right.
That wasn't what we had to worry about.
It was a very divisive time to be a Donkey Kong fan because there was that uncertainty. You think Donkey Kong fans have uncertainty in 2023. Go back 20 years. Even if we were getting a bounty of games, which we were in hindsight, that lack of a unified direction, it did feel like there was a tug of war happening where, like, what is Donkey Kong going to be without Rare sort of helming the ship? And so Kong...
Wasn't there an older guy in a game store around this time who expressed enthusiasm to you, not knowing who you were?
Yeah.
About Mario versus Donkey Kong?
I got a lecture on this from a guy in a video game store. And I have so many stories of, like this from around the time of the buyout. The GameStop employee who tried to talk me out of reserving Star Fox Adventures. But
Sure.
Yeah, I got a lecture about how this was the authentic Donkey Kong, and Nintendo could finally do it again now that Rare was gone, and how happy they were. And amusingly enough, some Mario versus Donkey Kong stands came out of the woodwork when this leak happened, and they're like, "Now it's our time." And I was like, whoa, where have you been? I just back away slowly. And I say this with love because, of course, our own Jem Gibbon on staff is, of course, a huge fan of this series. And so, I lightly josh you, not Josh Wallen you. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm needling you, but just because it's not for me doesn't mean I don't understand why some people would really go for this. It's just, I don't like when the eras of Donkey Kong fandom are at war with one another. And, this was a time where
you're not a Sonic fan, Hyle.
Well, this is a time when it felt like there was kind of a Cold War. What is Donkey Kong going to be? Is it going to be Rare's take? Is it going to be the arcade era? Is it going to be sort of like Rare, but with an all new cast? And, eventually, sort of by virtue of the DKC GBA remakes doing so well, country fans sort of won out as far as like the unified direction. Didn't end the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, but that wasn't the like singular focus. And, like I said, I don't have any actual animosity towards it nowadays. And if we're going to do anything with the series in 2023, because it has been several years since a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game at all. I believe it was 2016 when we got Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge for the Wii U and 3DS.
Yeah, that was that free game on the Wii U and 3DS, wasn't it?
Yeah. Everybody was grabbing that before the eShop went down.
Sure they were.
It wasn't a traditional Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. That last one came out in 2015. So it has been nearly as long as the last mainline Donkey Kong game since we've gotten a Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. And I've seen lots of comments like, why would they remake Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which while it has its fans is definitely more divisive than Donkey Kong 94, which is, held up as, I was going to say modern, but it's almost 30 years old, but it's held up as like the more modern, classic of the arcade series versus, Mario versus Donkey Kong. And well, the answer to that, and it's a very simple answer, and this is why this whole comparison between this and the mainline Donkey Kong game that we're all waiting for is silly to me, because Donkey Kong 94 was developed by Nintendo EAD. Mario vs. Donkey Kong has always been developed by Nintendo Software Technology Corporation out of Redmond, Washington. They are different studios on different continents. And just like Square is handling the Super Mario RPG remake, just like Rare did 20 years ago with the GBA remakes of DKC, it's just usually the way these things go. A studio will remake its own game. They're not going to hand it off to another studio and say, hey, you do this for us. I mean, it's been known to happen, but generally that is the decorum when it comes to this sort of thing. So why,
especially if Nintendo's going to do the remake internally itself, they have partnered with other studios. Like I think the Link's Awakening remake was outsourced to another studio. But yeah, if they're going to do it internally, they'll do games. See, I didn't know that. I had absolutely no idea about that. Because I was one of those people being like, kind of weird it's not DK94, but yeah, that explains that.
Yeah, I mean, if Nintendo...
Rezzo, thank you, Lufflepo.
If NST... I was trying to think of the abbreviation. I was like, Nintendo Software Technology... NST, if they're going to, like, take a swing at anything, it's going to be remaking their original Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. So it just makes sense. Whether or not anybody was asking for it, that is why we're getting it. It might not, raise the temperatures as much as Square doing Super Mario RPG, but there's that whole history there of like these, I mean, that would be like Rare announcing, hey, we're doing a new Diddy Kong Racing. like, what, like, because those characters have been stuck in legal limbo, and just to have them acknowledged and celebrated and brought back into the modern context, that is a huge thing. Where Mario vs. Donkey Kong, while the series has evolved and strayed from its roots, it hasn't really gone away. So, really the only other thing I have to say about this, other than, like, I guess there's a new Donkey Kong logo in the title. I don't really have the confidence to say this is the Donkey Kong logo going forward. They might have just been going for something different with the actual Mario vs. Donkey Kong logo. But it's a little bit more, streamlined, I guess. I don't know how to describe this Donkey Kong logo. I'm bad at visual design, Josh. It's red.
It has, sure. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't help you.
Oh, I provided it in the document that you're looking at, or you could be looking at if you went back.
Let me see if I can take this one. Okay, the hypothetical maybe new Donkey Kong logo to me looks indistinguishable from the old one. I don't even know what I'm looking. Are the stars filled in? Is that the difference?
The stars are filled in. Yeah.
Oh man.
But again, I don't know if this is what they're going to be using, because you see the Donkey Kong logo appearing on branded products like the new action figures for Donkey and Diddy that are available in Walmart stores right now, and it's not this. So I don't know. This could just be a one-off. They've been known to do one-offs before, like Donkey Kong Jungle Beat had a unique Donkey Kong logo. I don't know if I'd read too much into this yet. So, but I don't have anything else to say about this except for, I think it looks cute. I think it looks charming. It's going to be something we can talk about near the beginning of next year. And for the record,
Donkey Kong's model has some delightful furry shenanigans going on.
He does. He's got his new nose. But for the record, and I just want to put this out there, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, again, has never had any bearing on the mainline series. And the most obvious, the most blunt example I can pull from history was in 2010. Mario vs. Donkey Kong Mini Land Mayhem came out for the Nintendo DS November 14th, 2010. A week later, a game came out on November 21st called Donkey Kong Country Returns. So,
yeah.
I've heard people worrying, like, is this going to be? Is this the mainline Donkey Kong game? Is this Donkey Kong EPD? No.
Oh, God.
No. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, dismissive of people's genuine concerns, but they're not related in any way. NST just wanted to do this.
But, I do want to sort of play devil's advocate. To be fair to those people, like, I do get it. It's like, even when you know all this stuff intellectually, like you were saying earlier, you can know things intellectually, but it can still, I get why it would sting a little bit when, like, it's been this long and we've been looking forward to, a new Donkey Kong game for this long, and then it finally comes. And even though we know it has no bearing, there is that part of you that's just like, oh, why? Why? How much longer is it gonna be?
No, I get that. Now I try to put myself in my own shoes back in 2015 when Federation Force was revealed, and there was this huge, I don't want to say hissy fit because that makes it sound mean, but there was that like wringing of hands in the Metroid community, and I was just like, I think this looks charming. But again, I'm not a Metroid diehard, so that would be like somebody coming to me and saying like, what are you talking about? I think Donkey Konga 2 looks like great fun. And, you're not getting it because you're not part of it.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, maybe it does, but like, it's not at all the kind of game that I wanted.
Yeah. But again,
maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll be great even, but it's not going to satisfy me the same way.
But again, nobody, I don't think most people wouldn't have been making this comparison had it not been for the 12 hours where people thought this was going to be the Donkey Kong game. And then when it wasn't, when it was Mario vs. Donkey Kong, people were comparing the two or even conflating the several years of stories that DK Vine and others have run about there being a new Donkey Kong game as this game. I understand the way the brain works there, but yeah, they're not, there's no correlation there. Mario versus Donkey Kong, while it has Donkey Kong in the title, and, maybe even Nintendo classifies them internally as part of the Donkey Kong series, they're not really, Donkey Kong appears in them. He's got co-billing, but they're Mario games first and foremost. They have no bearing on Donkey Kong Country or what have you. So, yeah, there you go. Everybody calm down. It's okay. It's okay. And we can enjoy Charles Martinet's Mario one last time with slightly better audio clips than we had in 2004. So, that being said, we've talked a lot about Mario vs. Donkey Kong in this episode, Josh, and we haven't even gotten into the real excitement of the Nintendo Direct, and the reason why I think everybody's in a good mood in the Donkey Kong fan community now, and that's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and the end of the Booster Course Pass. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
At the last possible moment in the 9-year history of Mario Kart 8.
God, that's insane.
We finally eked out Diddy Kong in the game after 9 long years. And just to rewind a little bit, we thought Diddy Kong was going to be in Mario Kart 8, and it wasn't just based on our own assumptions. Well, he was in Double Dash, he was in Wii, of course he's going to be in Mario Kart 8. He's in every console Mario Kart game now. This was misinformation that leaked into Spain's official Nintendo magazine back in 2014. They did a big spread on Mario Kart 8, and they showed several of the characters that appear in the game. And included in that spread, Diddy Kong. And thanks to both Cameron and DK Viner Abraham for tracking that down for me. Because it was a vague memory, but I was like, I don't have the file on hand. And they were both able to tell me what it was, and were able to track down that file for me. So thank you very much to the both of you.
Yeah, that is impressive. I was very much engaged with the Mario Kart 8 hype cycle originally, and I have no memory of this whatsoever.
So we were going into release, we were thinking, well, Diddy's okay, so he's not in the base game. He's going to be a DLC then. Maybe we're going to get a whole Donkey Kong DLC thing,
right,
to tie into Tropical Freeze or something, which came out the same year. And, it just never happened, Josh. I mean, we got Link. We got Animal Crossing villagers. We didn't get Diddy Kong. And the drama behind this, where we all loved Mario Kart 8 at DK Vine. We did. We were okay, well, this is DK Vine staffer Jeff, frequent Kongversation co-host, often says that your favorite Mario Kart is the Mario Kart game that came out when you were 12 or something. Generally, it's like Saturday Night Live. Your favorite era of SNL is when you were at the right age to think it's hilarious. And then you realize they're phoning most of it in. But Mario Kart 8
it's the one that you got to play the most with your friends.
Sure. But Mario Kart 8 came out when, the older staff members, me included, were kind of past that part in our life. We were, post-college. We basically were in what was passing as our adult life. And it turned out my adult life was in no way comparable to my parents' generation or what have you. But this game came out, and it was just oh, damn. This actually rectifies all of the issues I've had with every Mario Kart game since Double Dash. I think this is actually a Mario Kart game I can get behind. I say that, still preferring Diddy Kong Racing, ride or die with DKR, baby. But Mario Kart 8, I was even though this is past the point of nostalgia for me, I think I really like this Mario Kart game. And I think we were all kind of that mindset, but the biggest elephant in the room was not Taj the Genie. He's in the aforementioned DKR. It's the fact that our favorite character, or most of our favorite character, wasn't in the game. And that Donkey Kong was the only Kong in there after we had gotten Diddy and Funky in Mario Kart Wii. And it was just like the thing that was kind of holding me back from really getting into it, because yeah, I love Donkey Kong. Of course I love Donkey Kong. But Diddy Kong is sort of my proxy character in the series. He's the one, he and Dixie are the ones I identify with, and I'm like, I grew up with them, basically.
Sure, because like you and I both related to them way more than we did Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong was always the cool older brother. He wasn't, a compatriot. He was somebody you aspired to be like. But Diddy was your friend. He was your imaginary friend, sort of. You're jumping into these games, playing as Diddy or Dixie, and so they're my favorite characters, in the series, in all of video games, in all of Western literature, and so to have them, or to have Diddy inexplicably not in this game for no reason that's ever explained to us. It was just like, what is happening? And Cameron really summed it up in the news article he wrote for DK Vine concerning this, because he said, we got DLC for the original Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. Diddy wasn't there. Then we got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch with some new characters. Diddy wasn't in that as well. And then we got the Booster Course Pass. And then by Wave 4, we got new characters, and he wasn't in Wave 4, he wasn't in Wave 5, and at that point, we had thrown in the towel on hoping that Diddy Kong would be in the Booster Course Pass, especially when the whole MOB DK nonsense for Mario Kart Tour fell through, and we were like, oh, there's no new Donkey Kong track, the dream is dead, it's not going to happen, give it up. And I was even saying, I just want to get this September Direct over with so we can move past the Booster Course Pass and start talking about something else. Because I had given up. I had given up hope,
That's
right?
so sad, because, even when the Mauve DK thing came out, I listened to those episodes, and, you and I haven't talked about that and haven't been on, but, I was still, I don't think that there not being a new Donkey Kong course, it has anything to do, much like Mario vs. Donkey Kong has nothing to do with the new EPD game. I don't think it had. I don't see it as having necessarily anything to do with Diddy Kong's chances of getting in.
It just felt like, so we got the Yoshi's Island again. It's like false correlation, right?
Sure.
Just like the whole Mario vs. Donkey Kong / Donkey Kong EPD thing.
Mm-hmm.
False correlation happened because Birdo was rolled out with the Yoshi's Island track. And yeah, right, Birdo's not a Yoshi character traditionally, but Birdo is associated with Yoshi because of the implied romance that seems to be happening with them in some games. And so it was just like, okay, well, we're getting a Donkey Kong.
And Birdo was Yoshi's partner character in Double Dash, I believe.
Okay. So, we draw these connections, and the biggest fallacy one can do as a follower of Nintendo is to draw connections, because the truth is, it seems like Nintendo just does things. They just do things. There's no grand plan. They just do things most of the time. So, all these theories, what if they're saving, what if one wave is Diddy and Funky, and it's with the new Donkey Kong track, and this is the same direct where they talk about the Donkey Kong theme park, Super Nintendo World, and they reveal the new Donkey Kong game. And yeah, that would be great. That would be just master level of planning, a whole Donkey Kong direct, what have you. But they can't synchronize that well, can they? So we're just gonna get news and drips and drabs, and we're never gonna get, at least in this time frame, that grand satisfaction of being catered to, like the royalty we want to be. We want to have our own theme directs, like Pokemon does, or Splatoon or Pikmin does. We want to be fed whatever the video game news equivalent of caviar is on a gilded spoon.
Man, it's been like 6 months since the last Kirby game, dude. Those Kirby fans are sweating.
They're tearing each other apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think also, like, the greatest thing about Banjo and Kazooie's reveal, besides the fact that it was just, like, perfectly tailored for our community in every way, was that it did not happen at the very end of the Smash ballot. It was dead in the middle, so we could stop worrying about it. We got ours, and we were able to just enjoy it. The fact that we had to wait until the very last minute, while it's funnier, while it makes me laugh, it definitely brought up the angst. It dredged up the anxiety, and it made me have to just say, it's probably not going to happen, to preserve my own sanity.
Dude, I totally 100% understand that. I have been there with certain things where even though on one hand you're like, well, yeah, I know, but just like to keep myself from worrying about it, it's probably better for me if I just decide that this probably isn't going to happen.
And it's just the weirdest, like, series of emotions. I was going to say roller coaster, but that's a confused analogy when, you know, we're talking about roller coasters so much as of late here on the Kongversation. It's like, imagine a loved one of yours gets rushed to the emergency room or the hospital, and you're like, okay, you know, just positive thoughts, and then they're pronounced dead. And you go about your life. A couple years pass, and then
we're talking about Diddy Kong here, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
You go about your life, and then a couple years later, you get a phone call, and it's the doctor, and it's like, oh, we're wrong. Turns out they're still alive. There's still hope. They're just in a deep coma, and you're like, well, that's weird that we never had a funeral, but okay. So you go back to the hospital, and you sit by their bedside. You start hoping again. They're gonna pull through this, and then they're pronounced dead again. So you go about your life, you move on, you grieve, you go through the process, you get back to your day to day. And then you get a phone call from the doctor again and says, actually, I was wrong. There's still hope. There's still a chance. And you're like, damn it. So you go back.
I see what you're saying, because this whole protracted, like Mario Kart 8 DLC thing, it stretches from when the game was originally revealed, when the roster was originally revealed, the tease in the Spanish Nintendo magazine, the Mario Kart 8 DLC for Wii U, the Mario Kart Deluxe reveal, and now the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC.
That's right. So
right,
it's been 9 years.
And each and every time was an opportunity where you were like, this could be it.
This could be it. And it would be one thing if I hated Mario Kart 8, but I really like it, Josh. But I've always just been kind of intellectually... I've intellectually liked it. I've been emotionally cold towards it because of the lack of Diddy. And so we finally got it. And I remember just this wave of elation and relief washing over me when I saw Diddy drive in. And of course, you know, I was in the DK Vine Discord inner circle, and we all just started, you know, all caps, yeah, woo, you know. But it was also just this, like, I don't know if I really can feel anything anymore, because I have raised my hopes and had them dashed so many times by now that it's just not. It's almost a decade of my life, like, worrying about the fate of a cartoon monkey in a racing game. It's just the weirdest damn thing.
It's weird. I think it's weird for us too, because, like, just how incredibly protracted these things can be now. Like, to go back to what you said earlier about how, you know, the game that the Mario Kart that you played the most when you were a kid, it always tends to be people's favorite. Like, games nowadays last so much longer and age so much slower.
Yeah.
That, like, even though I know Mario Kart 8 came out 9 years ago, I can play it and it does not in any way feel like I would expect a 9-year-old game to feel. And what it makes me think of is just the prospect of, like, telling myself at the beginning of 1997, when I was, like, well, how old was I? Like a third grader. Telling myself that, when you graduate high school, they're still going to be adding new characters to Mario Kart 64. But that is the equivalent of what's happening here.
Yeah. It was just silly. It was silliness. I see some comments in a live stream drawing issue with my analogy. Of course, I wasn't serious. The hyperbole was the point. But
right.
Yeah, like I don't actually become this distressed over the lack of a cartoon monkey in a little game where you throw turtle shells at each other. But
not anymore. That was 2000s, Hyle.
Right. I've matured since then. I now make light of that by using it as humor. But at the same time, I still really, really wanted this cartoon monkey in the game. And it's just a very, it's just a weird thing. Cause I don't know if you can really adequately explain the feeling. Because again, this isn't a Donkey Kong game. This isn't like Crash Team Racing, where it's like the Crash Bandicoot series. It's not even like Diddy Kong Racing. This is, we as Donkey Kong fans, we are hoping for fan service in a Mario game because we don't have anything else going on right now.
Right.
This wouldn't have even been a thing in the era of Mario Kart 64 because, well, we were getting just our own Donkey Kong Racing games, and all right. But
right. The fact that we didn't know until 25 years later that Diddy Kong was in Mario Kart 64, the lack of his inclusion in it did not bother us.
You're opening up another can of worms there, Josh. So, yeah, Diddy's right there from the start, thankfully. They don't make us... They don't do any, build up, here's two characters, and then surprise, there's two more characters, and at the very end, there's Diddy. We got Diddy at the very least. I say it was the exact last minute, not technically. The last wave of the booster course passed, but...
Right.
But Diddy was there from the start, and I was like, oh my god, Diddy! And then he drives for a bit, and he pulls next to Funky Kong. And there's the segue into Funky Kong being a character in this game as well. From Mario Kart Wii. It's
my
Funky
god.
Kong. So, yeah, I don't have as much strong feelings about Funky in this game. Of course, I'm ecstatic Funky Kong is in 8 Deluxe because I love Funky, because so much of Funky Kong's notoriety in the general public is thanks to Mario Kart Wii, kind of introducing him to all the families who would play Mario Kart Wii together. Funky is very popular because of that, so it's great to see him back in a console Mario Kart game. Of course, Diddy and Funky were in Mario Kart Tour, or are still in Mario Kart Tour present tense, but it's a bit different, right? We all know, even those of us who appreciate and enjoy Mario Kart Tour, know that plays differently. It's not the Mario Kart experience most people are chasing. So to get Funky in this game as well, it's wonderful. It truly is just okay, well, that's just a huge, massive relief. We eked it out in the end, didn't we? So everybody was expecting two more characters in a booster course pass. So it was kind of a surprise when the announcer kept rattling them off.
Right.
Wasn't expecting it. People are still a little confused about how this is going to work on the character select menu. But we also got, continuing the loose theme of Donkey Kong, Pauline, who of course became a driver in Mario Kart Tour, and this is her debut in a console Mario Kart game. Pauline is there, and very happy for Gem, very happy for everybody who wanted Pauline in the game. I'm happy to have Pauline in the game. I've, long advocated that, Pauline shouldn't be forgotten about, even if we have Peach and Daisy and Rosalina. Pauline is the original. I guess 2 out of the 3 of those aren't love interests for Mario, but Mario is the original she's not a princess, but you know what I mean,
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great that Pauline's there, and of course that's still riding off her increased profile and notoriety after Odyssey. So, now had I known there was going to be 4 characters, and 2 of them were definitely going to be Diddy and Funky, and one of them was going to be Pauline, I think the general assumption would have been, well, then it's going to be Dixie Kong. Dixie, the other Kong from Mario Kart Tour, not including Donkey Kong Jr. from the SNES, but Dixie Kong, yeah, it's got to be Dixie Kong, right? If they're theming these characters loosely as like connections to Donkey Kong, then Dixie will be the 4th one, if there is implausibly a 4th one.
Implausibly.
Well, because we thought there was going to be 2, right?
Of course.
So, but turns out it's Peachette, which I loved.
At last.
This was kind of worth it just for the latent humor of the way the announcer presented this, where it was like there's so much excitement and bombast for Diddy and Funky and I guess Pauline, but then he was also like, oh, and Peachette's here.
That is funny. I actually, as part of my research, because I noticed that too. The announcer, when Diddy shows up, goes Diddy Kong, sort of like a Smash Brothers announcer thing. Yeah. So I went and checked out the Japanese version of the Nintendo Direct to sort of compare, and to my non-Japanese speaking ears anyway, it did not sound like that. It didn't sound disinterested or anything either. It was just sort of a very measured sort of like, here we're just professionally presenting all the characters on the same level.
Right. It wasn't
the English announcer put a little more spice on it.
Little English, as Jeff would say. I wonder if the announcer is a secret DK Viner, just based on the enthusiasm levels, the readings of the various characters.
Well, boy, you could have told my enthusiasm levels for this one. So can I sort of set up what my experience was with this?
Please do. Paint the image in my brain.
Okay. So I had planned, you were talking about earlier about how you often discuss how these directs just come right the hell out of nowhere, and anybody who wants to watch them or especially cover them just has very little like warning of when they're going to happen.
Yeah.
So my wife is currently in college, and she goes to classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I had planned all week that what I was going to do, I was going to finish up playing Metroid Dread. I was going to drop her off at school on Thursday, and then I was going to park and go to the campus library of my own alma mater to finish Metroid Dread come hell or high water. And so, of course, this is the day that the Nintendo Direct is happening, right as she starts class. So I'm like, well, okay, there's no way I'm going to put this off.
Yeah.
So I sat in my car with my phone connected to the Bluetooth speaker, watching the Nintendo Direct, in a campus parking lot. And, for the most part, I'd sort of like, I'd watch it. When something cool happened, I would watch that part. And then when yet another RPG or something came up, I would go talk in my own Discord about what we'd just seen. But, so I'm just, watching the direct. When Diddy Kong showed up, despite where I was and what I was doing, I totally forgot about all that. Like, if I could have stood up in my car, I would have. I felt my heart rate spike, and I just said, yes! I was so happy.
Yeah. It was the first time watching any video game presentation this year where I really found myself celebrating. So, it was a good feeling, and that's why I didn't really care about Peachette. I remember literally thinking, can't win them all. Like, it was kind of like my attitude with the Smash ballot once we got, well, in Smash Ultimate in general, when we got K. Rool, who I wasn't expecting, I'd given up by that point. And then Banjo and Kazooie, who I really wanted and did get, I was like, I would feel greedy if I got Dixie at this point. And I hate that it's always Dixie. It always comes down to Dixie being excluded. Cause again, Dixie is like right up there with Diddy in my favorite characters. Like, I'd say she's slightly second behind Diddy, but they're so close that it's almost indistinguishable. I've just known Diddy for, about a year longer. So, I do wish Dixie was in this because she is my go-to character in Mario Kart Tour. I think she's terrific in that game. I just love her animations. She's so much fun. She's just an utter joy as a character. I have, like, again, trying to ascribe motive to Nintendo is a fallacy, right? My only theory as to how they broke down these 4 characters, and I don't even know why they're 4 and not 2, or why there can't be even more characters than this, why they can't just put all the base characters from Tour in this, not the wacky variants like, Luigi with the big sausage or what have you, but just the base characters, like why we couldn't get characters like Dixie in this game. I don't know, but why this 4? Well, Diddy and Funky have definitely been in console Mario Kart games in the past, so they're in. Pauline has that little bit of shine thanks to Odyssey. She's more relevant to the Mario brand, so she's in. And Peachette is just the kind of jokey, haha, everybody loves this Peachette, this Toadette who becomes Peach, or is it Peach who becomes Toadette, or Toadette who becomes Peach?
I honestly don't know. All I remember is all of the incredibly horny Bowsette memes that came out of it.
Okay. I don't look at that because I don't look at erotica online.
It was unavoidable. I don't either, but
I read the Saturday Evening Post, and I go to bed by 8 p.m.
You do the New York Times Wordle.
I do the crossword puzzle because I don't understand Wordle. It's
sure, that's too digital.
I am an old man from the 1930s. So I guess that's my theory. Dixie has the least amount of relevance to Mario Kart as a brand. She doesn't have the pre-established pedigree in Mario Kart Sans Tour, nor does she have like the relevancy to Mario as a series independent of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, like from Nintendo's perspective, these 4 characters are 2 Kongs who have been there before, and 2 Mario characters, one who was sort of recently reinvigorated, and one who is a new-ish character, an alternate form of Toadette.
Sure. So I feel for the hardcore Dixie Kong fans, the Dixie for Smash fan account on social media. Like, trust me, like for me this is blunted because I got Diddy. I'm fine, right? And if it was just Funky and I didn't get Diddy, I would be a little like, what are you doing? But I would still be a little happy because I got Funky, but Diddy is, Diddy's my main man. So I do understand it. And I do wish Dixie was there. Whether or not it's any more of this, we got to keep the Donkey Kong series a little bit independent of Mario. And this is how we're going to justify that by excluding Dixie Kong. I don't know, but again, I
don't think that I would not ascribe any malice to it, like you said. From my perspective, until you started talking about it just now, the fact that it even could have been Dixie, quite honestly, hadn't even occurred to me. And I love Dixie. Dixie is like one of my all-time favorite video game characters as well. But I think it's just because we knew, or at least we thought we knew, there were 2 slots left.
Yeah.
And so I've spent all this time thinking, okay, if we get another Kong, it'll probably be Diddy. It'll probably be Diddy, and it might be Funky. But the thought of even getting both of them as a possibility had never even occurred to me. So the fact that we did that Yeah, totally blunted any other sort of disappointment I might have been able to conjure about it.
Yeah. I agree. Like I said, I feel bad for those who really wanted Dixie, because Dixie's great in Mario Kart Tour, but at least I finally got Diddy in my what I hold up to be the best Mario Kart game, and now maybe it can be my favorite Mario Kart game. Truly, I'm gonna play through the whole thing as Diddy. It's gonna feel great. I wish, though, Mario Kart Tour spoiled me. I wish we had all the karts from Mario Kart Tour, because there just isn't that much good shit to ride on in this game. With Mario Kart Tour, you've got the Barrel Train, you've got the Rambi Rider, you've got the DK Jumbo, you got all the variants of them, the Banana Master.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like DK specific stuff. My main in Mario Kart 8 has pretty much always been Donkey Kong in the F-Zero kart in the Blue Falcon.
For me, it's Donkey Kong in the Mercedes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Well, Josh, I would like to say we are nearing the end, but we have 12 calls to play. 12 calls. This is not including the 2 we already played from Traveler of the Stars. So
right now it's 12 calls. Before long, it'll turn into Bad Fur Day, but it's going to take a few years. Thank you for laughing at that. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm just laughing to, I think, get through. I love calls. I'm never going to be like Jeff was, where I'm saying it's time to play the calls, and he went, ugh. I love hearing from our audience. It's truly one of the greatest pleasures of doing the conversation. I just hope we can keep the energy levels up, Josh, through the next 12 calls.
It's gonna take a while.
And also, I'm keeping tabs on the live stream. I think they've gotten over my terrible analogy about a loved one in the hospital being pronounced dead to not getting Diddy Kong in the base Mario Kart 8 game. I think I've been able to pave over that. I've got them back on our side, or my side.
It was an analogy, people. He wasn't conflating these two things.
I saw Freezer say I needed therapy, and I do. That's just healthy brain maintenance, all right? But I wasn't actually being serious with that. That was showmanship. That was me being a circus presenter. That was me being somebody dazzling you with my razzmatazz. I don't actually go to bed at night weeping over the fact that Diddy Kong isn't in the latest Mario Party game, although he should be. Josh, let's go ahead and play our first call of the final 12. What is it, Cylons? And then we will... I think we'll just address them after each call, because they're all going to be taking us into different directions. And
sure.
If we've already addressed their main point, we can thank them, and I think we can move on. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Hi, this is Crawlmax. I just got done watching the September 14th Direct, and just share my thoughts about it. So, first and probably most important, Mario versus Donkey Kong will be making the first GBA game, which is surprising. I thought they would just make a new one. Not using the minis, or at least not controlling the minis primarily, which I guess makes sense because it's not like a dual screen system, so it's hard to have like that touch control. I don't know, it seems alright, at least as good as the first game looked. Not the new design for Donkey Kong. It looks basically just like the one that we've always had. Not really any aspects from the movie design, which I didn't know how much they were actually going to change it, but I'm kind of relieved. I think that DK's original game design works just... I think the other big news is on the way to the Mario Kart 8 DLC, we got Diddy Kong, Pauline, and Funky Kong. I was not a Funky Kong believer, unfortunately. I thought that was really just going to be Diddy Kong and Pauline, but we got all three. So that's pretty nice. I will say, maybe this is just Copian, maybe I'm just coping, but this makes me more confident than ever that if we're going to get a proper like Donkey Kong platformer, it's going to be for the new system, because this Direct pretty good, but mostly talking about stuff that's, again, like early in the year and stuff that won't take too many resources. Like,
Thousand Year Door remake, I thought that was great, but again, you're already just working off the foundation of an old game, and we don't really see stuff for like the latter half of the year so much. So I'm thinking the timeline is Switch 2 holiday 2024, and it's probably better at this point to release Donkey Kong platformer on a fresh new console instead of just riding the last wave of an old one. Probably a better way to get the series back into relevance, which is what I want the most with a new DK game, kind of what I want it to be 3D too. So thank you for listening to me ramble. I feel good.
Thank you for the call, and thank you for listening to us ramble. We're quite good at it. So, really quick, I wanted to address the whole Donkey Kong design. It is different from the original Donkey Kong in Mario vs. Donkey Kong. You know, they have tweaked the design, evolved it slightly over the years. His new nose, for one. But for all the, like, wonder, like, is movie Donkey Kong going to be how Donkey Kong looks in the games from now on? I was never really that worried about it. I don't think...
Yeah, I wasn't either.
You don't change something that foundational at this point. You tweak it here or there, but I don't think they would do that dramatic of an overhaul in midstream, really. Like there's so much stuff already in the works using what's essentially still the Kev Bayless Donkey Kong that I don't think you change it at this point. You continue to add to it, you maybe evolve it slowly, but you don't just overnight say, this is what Donkey Kong looks like now. Like, we've done that in 1994, you can't do it again.
And I will say, to your point, we don't have any insider info about this, but I do agree with what you say, that it does definitely sort of feel like the Switch is starting to wind down here. It's feeling a little bit like the Wii circa 2011, let's say.
You know, people say that, and it could be true. Or I could easily see the successor to the Switch, or the next evolution of the Switch that's functionally a new system. Maybe more of a, Xbox One to Xbox Series S and X kind of thing. I could see it not coming out till 2025. I could see there being another full year of the Switch ahead of us. And I could see the new Donkey Kong game sort of being the grand swan song of the original Switch, just as easily as I could see it being, near the launch of the next Switch. I don't know one way or another at this point, but yeah, I've heard some contradictory things about what the future of the Switch versus the Switch 2, which I hate to call it that because it's not going to be called that, but I've heard different things. I don't know what to believe, so I'm just kind of waiting and seeing with everyone else. But the benefit of,
like you said, it is always a mistake to try to predict what Nintendo will do. The
benefit of the Donkey Kong game coming out for the current Switch is that it has such a high install base.
Exactly.
And Donkey Kong games have traditionally, not always, but traditionally come out towards the end of a system's lifespan. And so long as it doesn't get eclipsed by that new system like Donkey Kong Country 3 did, I think it's generally worked out pretty well. Ironically, it's Tropical Freeze, the one that came out near the start of a system that pretty much died on the vine, because there wasn't an install base for Wii U. Well, the Wii U lasted for such a short time that coming out near the start of it wasn't that different from coming out near the end of it. Ouch. You got him. Zing. Take that. I love the Wii U. Okay, I'm saying as somebody who, like, my main console for those years was the Wii U, but yeah. The Wii U had some fantastic software. That's what I'll say about it. Really quick, because I can sense her frustration mounting. Freezer, once again, Freezer, the one who said I needed therapy, said that, wait, you're not going to get into F-Zero 99? That's almost DKU. It has James McCloud. Josh, do you want to talk about F-Zero 99? Oh, I've been playing the fuck out of F-Zero 99. That game is I've never even been that into the Super Nintendo F-Zero. Nonetheless, we have 11 calls, Freezer. We can't talk about F-Zero 99. Here's what I'll say about F-Zero 99. it's a 3-point statement, and it's very quick. 1, probably not the F-Zero game fans were looking for. 2, I'm happy F-Zero fans have something to play and talk about. 3, I hope it lasts for a really long time and doesn't get shut down in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my thoughts on F-Zero 99.
The one hope I have there is that we always knew that Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers 35 was very finite. Even when they announced it, we knew how long it was going to last. So this has no apparent end date on it, so I think it'll be at least around for quite a bit longer than that.
Bluster Kong 1996, my new best friend, by the way, after the last episode, Bluster Kong, says, that's been thrown around a bit, but I'm going to be honest, if DK is on the next one, I don't think it'll be a launch title. Definitely early on in the system's life, but probably not a launch title. The thing is, I think we also need to re-examine our expectations on what the Donkey Kong series is going to be going forward. Nintendo is investing heavily in the Donkey Kong brand. And I mentioned this, like, at the end of the Direct or around the time of the Direct. This might be the last Nintendo Direct where Donkey Kong doesn't get a lot of shine on it, because they're going to start talking about the park in Osaka, which is opening next year. There's probably even going to be a whole tour with Miyamoto walking through it. You're going to start seeing Donkey Kong stuff ramp up, even if we don't have the new game announced quite yet. So,
and I would go ahead.
That's not me just being hopeful and optimistic. I think that's just logic. Nintendo's never want to talk about stuff that they're not ready to talk about yet. But it's clear they have been prepping. They have been getting the Donkey Kong brand ready for a full-on assault, like a media barrage, the likes of which we haven't seen in quite some time. So, could Donkey Kong be a launch title? I don't know. Should we dismiss it just because it hasn't historically been done before? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. And if I was just guessing here, I would say that I too would guess that Hyle's probably at least somewhat on the money about the idea that the Switch successor will be more akin to what the PS5 is to the PS4, or what the Xbox Series is to the Xbox One, and that it will maintain compatibility. It'll have the same ecosystem. So I would expect then a new Donkey Kong game to probably just basically hit both, but be, have better graphics, run better, etc., on the new hardware.
Right.
If I had to guess, that would be my guess.
Like, I think it's clear...
Because the Switch has such a gigantic install base, they're not going to want to cut that off.
No, and I think it's clear that whatever the Donkey Kong game is, it started development on the current Switch.
Right.
It might be optimized for the next console. And I think the fact that it's been taking so long suggests the sheer scope and size of it is going to be far grander than Donkey Kong fans have been accustomed to. That's not saying that 2D platformers can't be grand, which I think they are, but you know what I mean, right? Like, that's just my own hunch. I don't think you go from Donkey Kong Freedom, even if it's being developed by an outside studio, to allegedly internally at Nintendo and take this long without continuing some of the ideas, at the very least, laid down by that original title.
I just want to grind vines with banana shoes, okay?
That's all you've ever wanted in life.
I didn't know how much I wanted it until I heard about it.
All right, let's go ahead and play call number 4, Josh, because I feel like I have to read out the number because we're going to lose our place. Call number 4.
Hey, it's Channel Mage again. I just wanted to talk about the Direct that just came out. I thought it was very good. I saw Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake. That's nice. And, a lot of good Nintendo games coming out. But, there's just one game that really caught my interest near the end, and It's a certain DLC called Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. Now, when I saw that, I was pretty excited because I saw a certain character that showed up. Not just any character, but a certain red-capped chimpanzee. And this is all I have to say. This is all I have to say about that.
Well, thank you for the call. I always appreciate a caller who has monkey noises queued up, ready to go. Like-minded traveler there. I will even forgive you for calling Diddy Kong a chimpanzee. That's how great I'm feeling about all of this right now. I know he's sometimes called a chimp in the games. It's wrong. It's like Curious George probably isn't a monkey. Curious George is probably supposed to be a chimp, but he's called a monkey. Ah!
I like how the callers so far have both pretty much summed up the nicest things I've ever heard anyone say about Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Like, oh, that's neat. It looks like it'll be pretty fun. That's fine.
You know, it's kind of like taking your medicine with a spoonful of sugar, isn't it? Because for all of the chaos surrounding this leak and everybody feeling pessimistic, not everybody, that's, again, when I say comments like that, I don't literally mean everybody, but people are feeling pessimistic about Mario versus Donkey Kong. Not only do we get it in the best possible way it could be, but also we get really, really awesome news that makes us just kind of like forgive the fact that, well, we're also getting Mario versus Donkey Kong, but we're getting Diddy Kong in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We're getting Funky Kong. So I think like that's one of the best things about this is everybody's actually appreciating Mario versus Donkey Kong for what it is versus what it's not. So
had it not been for the leaks, this would have just been like a two cake situation. Like, okay, we have this incredible news. This is finally happening. Diddy, we're getting Diddy and Funky in Mario Kart 8. Holy shit! And also, they're remaking Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Isn't that nice?
It reminds me of E3 2001, and it's like, oh, coconut crackers as well. I was excited about coconut crackers. Don't get me wrong, but Donkey Kong Racing kind of eclipsed all. So. All right, call 5, Josh. Call 5. We're knocking them out one after another. We're gonna get there. We're gonna do this.
Hey, this is Captain Bratley of the Captain Bratley Twitter account. This is my first time calling into DK Vine. I got a dilemma for you guys. As you know, Dixie Kong was not in the final wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Wave 6, and as you may have recalled in your DK Vine Lego set video, you said in about an hour in that Dixie Kong's set was the lowest selling set of the Mario Kart sets. And I just got this fear in my heart that she's kind of screwed. Her future in the franchise has never been more at stake than it has now. She's not going to be in any of the Mario Kart things following the Wave 6, if there is anything following Wave 6. And if the Lego sets being sold, I'm just getting this feeling that, she's not part of the franchise anymore. She's just going to, get cut, It just has, maybe I'm overreacting a bit, maybe I'm not, I don't know. It's just if there's anything at all that you can do to assure me that Dixie Kong isn't going to be cut or anything, be sure to let me know, man. I'm coping hard, man. It seems like she ain't gonna be in the franchise anymore. Anyway, I gotta get back to work. See, Hyle, I guess, I don't know.
Oh, Captain Radley. Oh, come here. It's going to be okay. No reason to panic.
No, none at all. See, what you have to understand is that Nintendo doesn't have the woke mind virus.
Oh, no.
That so many other companies have nowadays. No, they know that people don't want women in video games. what's the point of playing as a woman in a video game? Like, I don't know. There's something wrong with you, I think, if you want to do that. So, therefore, they kept Dixie Kong out of Mario Kart as a favor to us. It's for us, dude.
I would just like to say that the satirical comments of the Geek Critique, despite being a parody and in no way reflective of the Geek Critique itself, in no way reflect the opinions of DK Vine.
Thank you, Hyle.
Yes. Josh is being silly there. So, don't worry. Okay, so I could sense true fear in your voice there, Captain. And I just want to assure you that, yes, when I read those sales statistics in the Lego episode, that was the fact at that moment in time. I believe since then, the Dixie Kong Lego set has eclipsed Rambi. She's actually sold more since then. That was just a snapshot of the first week. So don't worry there. Also, Nintendo's not going to retire Dixie Kong.
They're not.
No.
No.
It's this sounds a lot like we did 20 years ago with Diddy Kong. Dixie Kong being in Mario Kart traditionally isn't a thing at all, but
right.
Also, like, I think like so many Donkey Kong characters that you wouldn't even think of as being safe are safe going forward. When you just look at what characters have been referenced in this sort of 10 years of stopgaps, you have the 5 original animal buddies referenced in Donkey Kong Adventure and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. You have Ellie being referenced in Theme Park. You have, of course, King K. Rool back, thanks to Smash Brothers. And above them all are what we call now the Tropical Freeze 5. Donkey, Diddy, Dixie, Cranky, and Funky. They are the elite of the Donkey Kong series. I think those 5 you never have to worry about. Will they appear in every game going forward, be it Donkey Kong or otherwise? No. But they're always going to be around. They're always going to be appearing here or there. And I think that, like, if you want to worry about any characters, you should worry about the Brothers Bear.
Yeah.
Troff and Scoff. Yeah, like, there are characters where if you're a diehard fan of, say, Sprout, the Beanstalk from off of Donkey Kong 64, then yeah, I would worry. Because I don't know what the odds are of seeing Sprout the Beanstalk again. Dixie Kong, she's the, like, 3rd main character in the series. She's fine.
Yeah, and not only that, she is the most prominent female character in the series, and especially as far as playable characters go, I really don't think that there's anything to worry about there. Yeah,
like the Donkey Kong 64 trio, like, they're always going to be sort of on the bubble, coming or going. Like, it was shocking Chunky Kong appeared in the Mario movie. Even more shocking, Swanky Kong appeared. But Dixie wasn't that much of a surprise she was there. And, so yeah, she's not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's a bummer, but she's going to be around. And once the Donkey Kong series does come back with the new mainline game, I think it's going to be one of those things like, why were we ever worried about Diddy Kong? Were we seriously ever having this debate that Nintendo's going to retire Diddy Kong? It's going to be the same thing with Dixie. Just have a little faith, because I don't see any possible future where they just forget about Dixie.
And I'd also say that as far as the sales of the Lego sets go, like, that kind of surprised me, honestly, because, you know, I had already gone out and, like, looked at the prices of all those sets. I'd already gotten Rambi. Because, you know, Rambi is, like, the cheapest one. So if anything, I would expect that one to sell the best. Dixie's the next cheapest, then the DK set, then the Diddy and Funky set. And to your point about those being, like, you know, the main 5 that we don't have to worry about, those are the 5 Kongs that you get in the Lego set.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
So I think early on, because, you know, you were talking about these sales of the Lego sets, like, less than a week, I think, after they were released.
Yeah.
So So what you had right then were like, the hardcore Lego collectors.
Right.
And what are they gonna get first? The big, most expensive, most impressive sets.
And to further add to your point, we haven't even entered the holiday shopping season yet. It's still
exactly. These things are going to have long tails.
Yeah, exactly. So
ironically for Dixie,
she's tucking it, Josh. I tell you. Anyway, yeah. Long live Dixie Kong, even if she's not in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And you know what? If she's in a racing game again, I hope it's a Donkey Kong racing game. I'll say it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for the call. Breathe deep, Radley. And you know what? I think Radley's in good shape. I think we're going to see Radley the Rattlesnake again within the next 30 years. That's my bold prediction right now. Yeah, that's right. All right.
Well, he was at least referenced, albeit misspelled, in Mario Odyssey. That's something.
He was also referenced misspelled in Banjo-Kazooie, so...
Yeah.
Who knows where he'll be misspelled next. All right. Let's play our next call.
Hey, what's going on, DK Vine and the Geek Critique? It's John Tessier here calling in for another episode of the Kongversation. And I'd just like to say I loved that Nintendo Direct. I thought it was incredible for lots of reasons. But if we're focusing on the DKU, the Donkey Kong universe, I do think Mario vs. Donkey Kong looks like a very fun game. Now, I'll admit, I have never played the game before. I know it's a remake of the Game Boy Advance game, but I think it's a cool concept, and I think it looks great. I think the visuals are awesome, and I personally can't wait to dive in. I don't know if I'll like it. Like I said, I've never played it before, but I'm definitely interested, and I'm willing to give it a shot. And I understand some people might be a little bit upset with this announcement, and I totally get that. I wanted a mainline DK game just as much as anyone. But I think this is a step in the right direction. It means the DK brand is still alive. It means it's still going strong. And there's tons of people like myself who haven't played these games before and will discover them. And as is always said on the Kongversation, any DK game could be a person's first DK game. So we need to remember that we're going to get new fans because of this game. And I think it's a great addition. I think we should be happy about it. Obviously, we're all happy about Diddy Kong and Funky Kong in Mario Kart, without question. But for this one, I do see a little bit some people upset. And I just want to say, I understand that you're upset, and I get the disappointment, but stay strong. Good stuff is coming on the way. They wouldn't be making a new DK game like this if big stuff wasn't coming. So can't wait to play the game. Can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. I'll be listening on the live stream. So, can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. Have a good one. Bye.
Well, thank you for the call, John. Josh, one thing we haven't mentioned as far as Mario vs. Donkey Kong goes is the local co-op being added to this remake, where you can join with Mario as Toad or a Toad. To fight Donkey Kong in unison.
We're never sure if it's the Toad or a Toad, but
yeah, yes. they've really screwed the pooch on that one at this point. But local co-op in 2023, it's the same problem I had with Battletoads 2020. I'm like, oh man, this game would be amazing to play with my friends. It's a shame my friends live across the world, and I have no friends in my local space who would want to play this with me at the very least.
I'm not that far away, man. I can come over.
Yeah, okay. It's still, I think if you drive through Great Smoky Mountain National Park and I drive from Shenandoah National Park, we can meet halfway the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Dude, yeah, I know exactly where that is, actually.
No,
would not be all that far.
I've thought about it. If I came to visit you, that's exactly the route I would take. Because it's scenic and I would see bears.
It is.
Yeah. So... that will be cool because I think for part of the reason it's hard for me to get into a game like Mario vs. Donkey Kong, despite pitting me against, one of my heroes, Donkey Kong, is that there's that sense of isolation where you're just going at it alone, and it might be fun to play with a friend.
Yeah, and I would also say that a lot of my friends in real life are really about half of them at this point are having kids of their own now, which is utterly like ridiculous to me because like that would eat into my video game time so much. But a mode like this, it would be perfect to play with your child.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about people having kids. That's
Yeah.
I don't know. I've stood in front of the microwave too long. It's not going to happen. I will say to their point about this being somebody's first Donkey Kong game and then becoming a fan of Donkey Kong because of it. I'm not sure what impression they'll walk away from this, concerning Donkey Kong, considering he's he abducts toads in this game. Like, his fanaticism for the mini Mario toys is such that he basically commits several felonies along the way. We have, of course, explained that away at DK Vine thanks to the subliminal advertising of the Mario toy company. It messes with Donkey Kong's brain, and he becomes sort of a madman without any fault of his own. And then, of course, Mario eventually, goes to court with the ad company, and there's a whole story we don't get there. But generally, Donkey Kong and Mario, break bread after this, and Donkey Kong enters this period of recovery where he comes back from his fanaticism that was induced thanks to this commercial. It's a real sob story for Donkey Kong. So yeah, I think it can make people sympathetic to Donkey Kong so long as they understand our fanon.
See, it was a very fun time for me early on while I was starting the Geek Critique
I'm sorry, Josh. I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to applaud Andre in our live stream,
sure,
who screams, which is what gave him his inoculation against the Tiki spell.
Exactly. Yes.
He already had too much brainwashing, or he knew how to make himself immune from it. It all ties together.
Exactly, and that's I was sort of building in that direction. I enjoyed presenting DK Vine fanon without crediting DK Vine when I was making the Geek Freak episodes on Donkey Kong games. To just sort of present them as if, oh yeah, of course this is exactly how it works. Yeah, like the Tiki's blast out of Freezeezy Peak, and that's why it's not there anymore.
I know people make fun of our fanon because of the Chest of Time. Freezer's bringing up the Chest of Time right now. I knew it was coming. I knew somebody was going to bring up the Chest of Time. But generally, I'm proud of our fanon because it's all concocted with a strain of credibility. Like, we don't just pull it out of thin air. We look at the evidence. Why is Donkey Kong acting this way? Well, he starts acting weird immediately after watching a TV commercial for these toys. Ergo, vis-a-vis. But, we don't just, like, invent stuff and then say, this is, we acknowledge it's made up fanon, but then it's also fun to see how it ties in to the lore. And like, to Andre's point, it kind of works with later events, so.
It does, yeah. Because there is otherwise no explanation for why the brainwashing doesn't work on Donkey Kong.
So Gibbons says, break bread. Mario is literally an asshole to DK for the rest of the series. In fact, later games have plots involving Pauline keeping Mario occupied by making use of the fact that he's so prejudiced against DK. Laugh out loud. I'm not arguing the fact that Mario's an asshole. I'm just saying that generally Mario vs. Donkey Kong games end with them having some sort of peace. So it explains why they're getting along in other games. Like, the rivalry, the antagonism doesn't keep up at the end of Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. And in fact, I think the Super Mario Brothers movie will help new players to Mario vs. Donkey Kong sort of understand it, that they're frenemies. Like, they're not like dyed in the wool, like bitter, hated rivals. They get along sometimes, they feud sometimes, but they always come together in the end. So, and Bluster Kong 1996 says, actually it's Gorilla Glacier.
Yeah, Freezer was asking if I meant to call it Freezeezy Peak. No, I did not mean to call it Freezeezy Peak. It was Gorilla Glacier, yeah.
The thing is, Josh, we're so in tune, I knew exactly what you meant. I didn't even pick up that you misspoke.
Wow, I am very flattered by that. That makes me feel better about it that you didn't even notice. You didn't even catch that one.
Because I'm just on your wavelength,
Because I had
man.
no idea either.
I'm just vibing
Yeah.
with you. I just, whatever. All right, let's play call number 7. Hey, we're halfway there almost.
Living on a prayer.
Hello once again to the illustrious Josh of the Geek Critique. Hyle's here too, I suppose.
Yeah.
So man, what about that direct, right? Did you see the 1,000-Year Door remake? Did you see it? And we're not here to talk about that though. We're here to talk about some monkeys. So first of all, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, I was one of those people who saw the rumor that something DK was coming, and like an idiot, I allowed myself to get excited, and look where that got me. In all seriousness, it looks fine, but it's not the Donkey Kong project I want right now. Like, I don't want a game where Donkey Kong is just a big jackass who kidnaps people and you gotta fight him. I want to be Donkey Kong, and I want to go on an adventure. But whatever, the game will come sometime. They're not just going to keep Donkey Kong dead forever. He's just dead right now. I am excited to hear those cutscenes again, though, right? The hey, you big monkey! That's the good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, Mario Kart, man, not only was it Diddy, it was Funky, it was Pauline, and Peach had too, I guess. Like, that was just really awesome, man. I thought we'd only get one DK character, but we got like 2.5. I personally consider Pauline like half a DK character and half a Mario character. That's just how it is in my head. We got like 2.5 DK characters. I never thought that would happen. I'm really stoked about that. I'm really happy with how Mario Kart 8's Booster Course Pass ended up after we got freaking Wiggler last time, right? They really turned it around. So I don't have too much to say. Just, really want to see that new Donkey Kong game. I know that's what we're all feeling, but man, do I want to see that. But good direct. We still got good stuff happening, right? We got good stuff here. Also, before I go, I just want you to know, Josh, that it was your videos specifically that made me a Sonic fan, and I'll never forgive you.
You shouldn't.
Now I'm involved with the Sonic the Hedgehog fandom and the cycle and the games, and it's your fault. My suffering is on your hands. So there you go.
Well, thank you for the call, Josh. You make friends everywhere you go.
Oh, Hyle, carry the show for a minute. I have to go delete my channel.
No, I think this caller sums it up pretty well. I do want to say, for everybody who's like, I want the new Donkey Kong game, I'm right there with you. Like, I know I'm keeping up the Zen, like, keep calm, but you saw how I was back in June. I was starting to break then. I really do feel like this year in particular I'm not saying it means we're getting something announced next year. I would think next year would be likely, but this does feel like 2009 to me, where we're getting little whiffs, we're getting little like suggestions that maybe something is coming, but it feels like we're in this big, vast wasteland right now when it comes to Donkey Kong content, even though we have more to go off of than we did back in 2009. Like the fact that, once again, I hate to always default to this, but there is a multi-million-dollar theme park expansion centered around Donkey Kong happening in Osaka and Orlando. And that's not something that would be invested in for any.
Hey, we didn't have that in 2009.
We did not, no. And I said, like, before when I brought this up, you don't see F-Zero getting that. And I know F-Zero just got a new game, more or less. But the level of investment in F-Zero 99 compared to the millions of dollars poured into Donkey Kong as we speak. Don't worry. But,
Yeah, and I'll add, because, he talked about the Mario Kart 8 Booster Course stuff. I've been a little, like, ever since that direct, I've had this, we currently don't have a clear picture of when this final Booster Course Pass is coming out.
uh-huh.
But watching that made me realize, I need to get back to Mario Kart 8. I need to play some of those new levels again. But now I'm constantly like, oh, but I need to wait until Diddy is there.
Honestly,
So now I'm having this weird thing where this game that I bought 9 years ago, that I've played to death, that I could play right now, has this thing where it's like, ooh, I can't wait until I can play that again.
yeah, for me, I can't wait to play the original Mario Kart 8 tracks with Diddy, with Funky.
Mhm.
Like, especially the Donkey Kong Country Returns, the DK Jungle track from Mario Kart 7.
Oh, I know. It's gonna be so good.
The one that was actually made by Retro Studios, to be able to drive around that as Diddy and Funky, who wasn't even in DKC Returns. Oh man, I'm excited about that. But thank you for the call, and
Thank you, and I apologize.
yeah, it's Josh's fault. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. All right, call number 8.
Hello, Hyle and Josh. So Diddy Kong is finally in Mario Kart 8, and I'm very excited about this. I've been following Mario Kart 8 since it came out. I remember the E3 it was announced. I actually fell asleep and slept through that E3, and I woke up to Mario Kart 8 and Tropical Freeze and all that, and it was great. Anyways, as far as this round of DLC, completely shocked me. I was one of the many who thought Diddy and Pauline were like the best choices. Maybe not shoo-ins. They could have really picked anyone else, but I'm really happy that those two got in, and Funky Kong and Peachette. Peachette is definitely the funniest kid here, but I'm just really happy. Finally, Diddy Kong is in this game, and it finally feels like a complete Mario Kart. I cannot believe how long it took him to get in, and that he was able to get in at the last possible moment is very rewarding. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's cool. I really don't know what else to say about it. He looks very cute. I like how cute he is. They made him cute. Bye.
Thank you for the call. Yeah, Josh, what do you think about Diddy's design in this game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Like,
oh, I mean, I quite like it. I did the thing on YouTube. You can pause a video and then use, I think it's the period and comma keys on your keyboard if you're watching YouTube on something with a keyboard, like some sort of freak.
yeah.
But I do. And you can go frame by frame. So I was like, yeah, I was watching his animations. I was like, how long could we see Funky Kong back there before like my brain registered that was him?
Right. Usually the only thing I watch frame by frame is the Zapruder footage. So when I was doing this, I was just waiting for the shot to come from the book depository. And yet
there's all kinds of just early Kongversation style jokes on this episode.
Yeah. And then, they rush JFK to the hospital and then they tell me he's dead. But then several years later, I get a call. Anyway, thank you for the call.
Thank you for the call.
All right, JFK, blown away. What else do I have to say? Let's find out with call number 9. Number nine. I'm just layering the references in here.
Hey, this is Jennifer. Sorry, it's been a while since I've called in, but I was in the hospital. But I wanted to call in and let you know about my thoughts on today's Nintendo Direct. Basically, it was a lot of highs and a lot of moments where they treated a game I never heard of like it was some really big deal. The Kongs are cool. I'm wondering what the hell Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's character select screen is going to look like now, because they revealed more than 2 extra characters. And my OCD can't have that, even if that did give us both Funky Kong and Peachette. I'm probably the only person who actually wanted Peachette. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is just a monkey's paw scenario. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and Paper Mario, obviously. I'd talk about that, but this is Donkey Kong, and that's not Paper Donkey Kong. That would be a cool game, actually, Paper Donkey Kong. Canonize that for me, Hyle, would you? All right, talk to you later. Bye.
thank you for the call, Jennifer. Nice to hear from you again. I am glad you're out of the hospital. I hope the statement I made immediately preceding your call wasn't in bad taste. So, what roster?
The question about Paper Donkey Kong would be, now, would Paper Donkey Kong make something part of the DKU, or would we see Paper Donkey Kong the way that we see, for example, Giant Donkey Kong from Alpha Super Smash Bros. 64 as a separate entity from Prime Donkey Kong?
So we've had this discussion before here at DK Vine. So we like what if they reboot Star Fox and it's technically a different timeline, but Crystal appears then? Right. And I believe the understanding is a multiversal variant of a character could potentially still count per DKU rules. Like, for example, if I was a fanatic of the 20th Century Fox X-Men films, I would personally include Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, as part of my chronology, because a variant of Patrick Stewart's Professor X, Charles Xavier, appears in that movie. Spoilers, I'm sorry. So it's been out for like almost 2 years now. I can't dance around everything. So I think like it would be the same thing, even if it wasn't our Donkey Kong. But then you could also make the argument, well, it could just be our Donkey Kong with a different art style. Just like Mr. Pants is a stick figure man, but he exists within the same world as Banjo and what have you, but he's not.
Legitimately, I think the deciding factor would be, is he based on the Miyamoto design or the Kev Bayless design? I think that's what would do it.
Yeah, but I don't think you would go Paper Donkey Kong. One of the things suggestions I've always liked is like a wood carving kind of style, or something that's more akin to traditional African art or something. Like I think like if we're going to have like a very crafty style Donkey Kong game in the mode of like Paper Mario or Yoshi's Woolly World or whatever, then I think Kirby's Epic Yarn, I think you would have to go in something that fits the aesthetic of Donkey Kong more.
Right, so you would go with ACM rendered plastic.
Oh man, I just got a little aroused when you said that.
So did I, Hyle, so did I.
I want those big plasticky palm trees back, man. So we also should probably talk about the roster screen, because people are really hung up on this. How do you think the roster screen is going to work now that it's asymmetrical?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because like I was just playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate the other day, and for the first time I noticed, hey, it's kind of funny. There's slots for like way more levels than this, but they're just not there. It kind of makes it unbalanced. Oh well.
Yeah. At this point, like, this would be something I would be hung up on if like Diddy had been in years ago. The fact that Diddy and Funky's inclusion helps create this asymmetry makes me not care about it one bit. Like, I suffer from a tinge of OCD. I'm not diagnosed or anything. I just know how my brain operates. And this would traditionally bother me. It can't bother me though, because the victory that comes with it is such that
exactly.
it's just a nothing burger to me. So, thank you for the call, Jennifer. I'm really glad you're out of the hospital. It's great to hear from you again. You always...
I love that without even trying to, she managed to basically continue the bit.
Yeah. Made me look even worse, which I always appreciate. Oh, I'm the monster here. Okay, now I know how Donkey Kong feels in Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So see, it's all
Listen, Hyle was watching television commercials before we started the episode, so that's why. It's their fault, not his.
Right. I'm eventually gonna get bombed by an Italian plumber, and then I'm gonna come to my senses, and I'll recover by appearing in Mario Golf Advance Tour. which was his appearance immediately after Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And he barely speaks in that game. And I said on DK Vine, I said, it's because he's suffering from depression after his actions in Mario vs. Donkey Kong. So you see, the fanon holds together, Josh.
And I too will be in that game with an extra finger.
Well, Diddy wasn't an advanced tour. He was referenced, but he wasn't actually in Advanced Tour. That was Toadstool Tour.
I did not buy a lot of Game Boy Advance games, regrettably.
That's okay. The Game Boy Advance is probably my favorite system of all time. Even if my favorite games of all time aren't actually on it. It's a weird paradox, but I love the GBA. It's for me, like those 4 Rare games published by THQ. Well, 3 and Banjo Pilot are just some of the best things they ever did. So
no, I wish that I had paid more attention to the Game Boy Advance at the time, because it had in spades so much of what I felt gaming was missing at that time.
Yeah. And I lament there not being an equivalent to the GBA in Nintendo's portfolio now. Now that's all Switch or mobile titles. I'm just like, I really wish we had these kind of lower budget games that you walked in with these expectations, but they can then just bowl you over with their quality or presentation. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't get into it too much here, but sort of related to that, there's been some discussion about how Mario vs. Donkey Kong, the remake, is going to retail for $50.
Yeah.
Whereas, of course, the original retailed for, I mean, it's a remake of a Game Boy Advance game. The Game Boy Advance game was like what, 30, 35?
Yeah, but,
keeping up with inflation, though. I mean,
it's inflation, right? Like, you can't really compare the two. It's just inflation. Like, have you seen the price of eggs? I mean, I'm a vegan now, so it doesn't really matter, but people complain to me. My parents, I visited my parents the other month, and they were complaining about the price of eggs, and I was just like, I don't care about this discussion. Are we done?
Thanks, Obama.
All right.
Go. Yet another Kongversation season 2 bit.
Yeah, you're just dragging us into the political mire here, Josh. I'm trying to keep this politics free. And everybody complains when I do it, but Josh comes in, makes it all political, and it's fine.
Well, like most Kongversation Season 2 bits, these bits were actually late-night television bits 15 years before that. They're even older than you think.
All right. Call number 10. We've hit double digits. Let's go.
Hey, how's it going, guys? I just wanted to drop by real quick just to say how grateful, how relieved I am. I'm more relieved, more so than hyped, because, man, it would have been terrible if we didn't get Diddy and, my brain's fried right now. God damn it. Anyway, but yeah, no, I grew up playing Diddy Kong Racing, and fucking, my main racer was Conker, and just, seeing he was there since the beginning with Diddy, I got a connection with Diddy, so seeing him in this game relieved Mario Kart 8 is saved. But yeah, y'all have a good rest of y'all podcast. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate the calls, Josh, where we just hear, because a lot of these came in very shortly after the direct, so you can just hear the sensible, like, just like sheer actual authentic relief and joy in so many of these calls. It cracked me up when you forgot Funky Kong.
I thought they were talking about Peachette.
Oh, okay.
Was that, they were trying to remember Funky, you said? Okay.
It was a very on-brand way to forget Funky Kong.
It was, yeah.
My brain is fried. Yeah, like, of course, I would rather play as Diddy Kong in a Diddy Kong racing game, but let's be honest, the only likelihood we have for anything concerning Diddy Kong Racing is getting it on NSO, which I'm also disappointed we didn't get any NSO announcements. Nothing along the lines of, hey, GoldenEye is on NSO. Like, I want Diddy Kong Racing on NSO, Josh. Like,
well, it's been a year and we still don't have all of the N64 games that they originally announced.
Yeah.
So perhaps we'll hear about more after that point.
Again, trying to ascribe motive to Nintendo and the way they do things is a lot. Like, it's just a fallacy. You just can't actually do it. So why do people continue to try? I don't know. But yeah, we're all happy here. We're all happy Diddy's in it. All right, thank you for the call, Diddy and Funky. Sorry, I forgot him too. Let's go ahead and play number 11.
Hey, Hyle. Hey, Josh. It's Ryan. Some listeners may remember me from the Call Sack episode. And can I just say, since then, Hyle, you really sold me on this whole DK Vine thing. I think it's something I can finally get behind. In fact, I'm so behind it that here I am trying to squeeze in a call before it's too late. Now, it's no secret that in this Nintendo Direct, the extent of Donkey Kong news was relegated to characters appearing in Mario games. Despite everything that the Donkey Kong franchise had going into it leading up to this Direct, you know, the Legos came out, the theme park's coming up next year, the Mario movie appearances, all of that. But in spite of everything, it's kind of bittersweet that Donkey Kong didn't really appear in this Direct. And the reason I say that is because while obviously it's upsetting that we don't have any news on the new Donkey Kong game still, it sort of cemented to me that at this point, the Donkey Kong game has to be a next-gen release. Whether or not that's as a launch title or as an early release in the next system's life cycle, I obviously can't say, but that's just my assertion. That's just my takeaway from all of this. I'm very interested in hearing what both of you have to say about this. Obviously, you have more of an expertise than I do. You understand more of the historical precedent. But other than that, I'm still hopeful for the future of Donkey Kong, and I hope you two have a great day.
Well, thank you for the call, Ryan. And I sold them on DK Vine, and they didn't blame me for anything. So I think I'm coming out ahead in the calls.
Yeah, Freezer in the chat said that she was introduced to DK Vine via me, and she blamed me for it. So I say, no, you're welcome. Well, I'm glad you're here. I would so much rather be here than be in the Sonic fandom, Freezer. Oh God.
Yeah, you know what? I'm proud of the Donkey Kong fandom, all things considered. Like, I know we have our drama, but I think we're holding together pretty well, all things considered.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I try to do my part. I obviously am not the sole arbiter of, you know, the direction the fandom goes in. The fandom is huge and sprawling and extends way beyond DK Vine. But, you know, given my limited platform, I try to keep everyone positive when I can. But, yeah, Ryan, to your point, I honestly don't know. Like, we touched upon this. I could see it one way. I could see it the other way. I honestly don't even really care. I just want it. It would be a shame not to get a brand new mainline Donkey Kong game on the Switch. And if it in fact does come on the next console, whatever it may be called, I'm gonna just view Donkey Kong Adventure, the Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle DLC that was like a whole like separate sub game within Kingdom Battle. I'm gonna view that as the mainline Donkey Kong game by default. I know most people would say Tropical Freeze, but well, Tropical Freeze was the Wii U game, and we can't, you know, can't have it be the one for both consoles. So anyway, but
yeah, but like most games that came out on the Wii U, nobody seemed to really know it existed until it came out on the Switch, which was just as a Wii U owner was always the most surreal thing to me.
But again, this is all like talking about like stressing about the way the roster select screen in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is laid out. Like it's all meaningless. Like, oh, it would be fun as a historical fact to say like Donkey Kong didn't necessarily sit out the Switch, or, you know, he was on the Switch, but there's all these caveats. It ultimately doesn't mean anything because of the unique position Donkey Kong found itself in as a brand, as a series. Thanks to, really, this is all just, again, the aftershocks of the Rare buyout 21 years ago, where, Donkey Kong had a home, then he didn't have a home, and he kind of bounced around before landing at Retro, but Retro was never going to be a permanent solution. You could eke out 2 games from that relationship, but then Retro would inevitably move on, and then what do? And then Donkey Kong went to somebody else, and then that fell through, so then they have to give Donkey Kong his own home. So it's been a decade, essentially, of this, because they never resolved this after the buyout. Essentially, like, they probably should have just taken Donkey Kong internally then, but then we would have lost out on some really great games. So I'm glad they didn't. We just have to suffer the consequences now.
I would say, you talked about our expertise and our, such as it is, and our understanding of the historical precedent. I would say, just given how successful the Switch has been, how long this game's been in development, and just, like, really more than anything else, just how enormous the Switch's install base is. Assuming that this Donkey Kong game isn't more than, 3 years away, I would be shocked if it didn't at least have a version released on the Switch.
Yeah. On
the original model.
That's true. Like, Twilight Princess screw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, Wii U, and Switch.
Oh, is that's what I meant. That's what I meant, Breath of the Wild.
Well, they both did it.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Josh. I conflated the two because of how little I care. and
also,
I'm weird.
I'll say related to that. Multiple callers have brought up a certain other remake that got announced. And just like, Jennifer earlier was talking about how, they started talking about a game and treating it with importance that I've really never heard of before. And that's kind of what that one, like, I've heard of it, of course. I've never played it, and I can't say I'm nearly as into it. So it's nice to come on here where, like-minded weirdos abound.
Exactly, yeah.
The most exciting thing was Diddy Kong being revealed for Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, and that brief, 30 seconds where I entertained that Lanky Kong was going to be in Trombone Champ.
He'd be a perfect fit.
I thought Lanky would be a perfect fit in ARMS, but we didn't get that happening either. So, oh well.
Oh, yeah, I remember in the inner circle you were talking before Diddy was revealed. You were going on about how the Princess Peach game, the enemy involves grapes, and then we got Trombone Champ. So it's like, are they teasing Funky Kong?
Lanky Kong, yeah.
Lanky Kong.
Lanky Kong loves his grapes. By the way, you can get your It's Getting Late, Have You Seen My Grapes shirt on the DK Vine merchandise store at TeePublic. Find us at dkvine.com/merchandise.
And if you still don't have it, or you're not at least thinking about getting one, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? I can safely say that nobody has it, because we've only sold one, and that was a gag gift I sent to Jeff. All right.
Well, then Jeff has it at least.
Well, yeah, but Jeff's not going to wear it.
I gotcha.
All right. Let's play our 12th call.
Hello, it's me, Donkey Kong. Woohoo! Oh, banana! I just calling to tell you to pre-order my brand new game, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I promise it will satisfy all of the Donkey Kong fans. I just know, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I promise. You can trust me. Now, I'm not going to go now, but before I leave, I just want to say thank you so much for playing my game. The Donkey Kong game. My gosh.
I think Charles Martinet is starting to crack up with retirement. I don't know.
So that one took me a minute. I was a little behind. But...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like when callers call in with bits when they're like, I'm gonna do a routine, because it can't be easy because you're doing it without a net, right? You're calling in on your phone. You got one take, so I admire the courage it takes to do it. I'm not saying everybody do it. I'm just saying when it happens.
I am saying everybody. I'll say that once upon a time, I called in with a bit, and it had absolutely nothing. It was bad. You guys should not have played it, and you didn't.
Clearly.
All I did was make a wrestling reference. I challenge you to be like me. Call in with a bit that we won't play.
So people do bring up, like, Hyle, you don't have to play all the calls. And here's the thing. I'm a soft touch. Like, if people call in, I don't want to, like, waste their time. But if we ever hit the point where we got, like, 20 calls on a regular basis, I would not be able to play all the calls. I would have to start, like, weeding them out. I would have to start, like, picking, like, the cream of the crop. So this is just under that threshold, you know? Yeah. All right. Let's play our penultimate, next to last call. You ready? I'm ready. Let's do it.
Hyle and Josh Wallen of the Geek Critique. The Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Greatest duo. I just want to say, guys, huge fans of when you guys collaborate together. And I had to call in for this one because it's been a while since I called in Hyle. This is, by the way, Bullcraft Max. Sorry, didn't introduce myself in the beginning. Long-time listener, listen to every single show, every single episode. But haven't called in a while, and I just want to find out from you guys what exactly is going on with this Donkey Kong, not March of the Minis, but the puzzle-like game. And I asked this on Twitter, and I was a little worried because I'm like, oh man, is this the Donkey Kong game that we've been teased about for so long? Is this EPD? Is this Nintendo EPD making this game? And like you said, thankfully it's not. So I'm very relieved to hear that, which is good. And I was still hoping for a Donkey Kong announcement soon. But I guess, I want to know your thoughts on, is the next Donkey Kong game coming to the next-gen Switch? Because it looks like the final lifespan of the Switch is going to be just remakes and remasters. And, that's kind of where the direction is. And I'm expecting Metroid Prime, Donkey Kong 3D or 2D, whatever they're going to do, to be on the next-gen console. But curious what you guys have to say. Keep up the great work. Love when you guys collaborate together. You're literally, Josh, same thing. I'm a huge, huge fan of your channel. I've been following you since the Smash Brothers videos that you made, and hopefully soon you make the Smash Ultimate video. I'm really looking forward to all your new stuff coming. So keep up the good work, guys. Thanks so much, Hyle, again, for doing what you do for the Donkey Kong community, man. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for the call, Bullcraft Max. This is how much my brain has been besotted by DK Vine. You took a while to introduce yourself, who you were, but immediately I was like, oh, it's Bullcraft Max. Like, I knew your voice, and you should find that creepy. But that's also the very first time I've ever been compared to either Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, me too, actually. I'm not sure which of us is which, but
yeah. Either way, I'm gonna take it.
I'm happy either way. Yeah,
I'm gonna ride this feeling because I don't think I'm ever going to be compared to either one of them ever again. So I feel pretty good right now. I'm a '90s era Chicago Bull. That's just terrific. But
it's always nice to hear too from somebody who's been watching the channel since the point where, at the time, it felt like no one was watching the channel, so I really appreciate that too.
Whereas I am always happy when nobody was watching me when, like, back in, like, 10 years ago, I'm like, you weren't around then, were you? Good.
I was, but I'll do my best to stop dredging it up.
Yeah. So, of course, Bullcrap brought up what we already discussed, but also kind of stumbled upon something, a point that hasn't been made that I feel like is worth addressing. For all of the remakes we are getting on the Switch in this era, and I feel like remakes have been part of the Switch's life from the very beginning, like all the Wii U ones, and now we're like going further back into Nintendo's catalog. But where is Donkey Kong Country Returns? Where is the non-waggle version of that game that can stand on a console and be readily playable for people who are just getting into Donkey Kong thanks to things like the Super Mario Brothers movie, or will get into it next year thanks to the park in Osaka, or in 2025 thanks to the park in Orlando? Like, where is the definitive version of Donkey Kong Country Returns?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this might be like an episode unto itself.
Sure.
As far as what we would want out of a hypothetical, perfect definitive version of Donkey Kong Country Returns. But yeah, it is kind of notable that it is very, like, I play the Switch a lot more than like older Nintendo consoles at this point. And it's pretty often that I've come to that menu, looked at Tropical Freeze, and been like, but I haven't played Returns in a long time. It'd be really nice to have it on here.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about the stopgaps that came up after Tropical Freeze, and to keep the Donkey Kong brand alive while they sort of waited, while they bode their time to get the new game up and running. And one stopgap we haven't gotten is Donkey Kong Country Returns. Back again. And about time too. So, Donkey
Kong Country returns.
And of course, you'd probably expect Retro to do it, and Retro's kind of got their hands full at the moment. They did do the Tropical Freeze remake. So I would think Returns would be an even easier game to bring over. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. Maybe that's in the works. Maybe we'll get, maybe next year, it being the 30th anniversary of Donkey Kong Country. Here I am trying to, again, give motive to Nintendo. But next year is the 30th anniversary of DKC. We're getting the park in Osaka. Two big things, two big milestones. It would be great if we got, a year of Donkey Kong releases. I don't know. Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Switch would be a pretty sweet little cherry on top of everything. So
it would be, but I can think of two potential reasons why maybe that hasn't happened. One, probably the simpler one, is just that Nintendo sees Tropical Freeze as the representation of that style of Donkey Kong game. DKC Returns is generally considered to be the weaker of the two, so maybe the fact that Tropical Freeze is already on there, they figure, well, people would rather just have this, and we'd rather represent the brand with this. The other theory is that because Returns was originally released on a standard definition system, that being the Wii, it would probably be a significantly more work to bring it up to high definition standard in terms of its assets, its models, its textures. So either one of those could be it.
True, but I think it would still be a worthwhile endeavor, given how foundational it is to the modern era of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong going forward.
Absolutely, I agree.
But you're right, that would be a great episode unto itself. So what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Save the gold, Hyle.
We've got one final call, so let's go ahead and play it, and we'll see where it takes us.
Alright, so Bowsette doesn't make any sense. Peachette is Toadette turning into Peach. So you would think Bowsette would be Toadette turning into Bowser, but instead, it's friggin' Bowser turning into Peach. Peach just, stole it from Toadette like she does to everyone else. It makes no sense. But, I'm glad Diddy Kong's now playable.
So, didn't say their name. I think it's Rick. Because, again, I'm getting pretty good at recognizing some of our regular callers. If it's not Rick, I apologize. Apologize to Rick and the caller, but I think it's Rick. But thank you for ending on a light note. You got the call in.
That was a great call to end on.
Yeah, you got the call in at the end of the train here, the caboose. But these are questions I don't bother asking myself, honestly, because I think I tapped out of some of the bigger foundational questions about Mario lore when they turned Toad into the species versus a unique individual. I was just like, all right, Now you're saying
Mario is supposed to be from Brooklyn, okay? As portrayed he's supposed to sound like Captain Lou, and if you're not going to do that, then like I don't. What's the point in even having Mario lore if we can't hold ourselves to these principles? Yeah, Bowsette doesn't make sense. Okay, well, neither did Mario sounding like a whimsical, whooping Italian man rather than a gruff professional wrestling Italian man.
But speaking of Captain Lou, why did Peach steal Toadette's thing? Or wait, is that what happened?
Okay. So I've sort of worked this out through the chat.
Okay.
Peachette is Toadette when she gets like a crown. There's some sort of a power up that's a crown that makes her look like Peach, and it works the sort of the.
She's wearing a skin Peach suit.
However, power ups in Mario work. When is Tanuki Mario wearing a skin Tanuki? We don't know.
Okay.
Is Mario, in fact, that kind of a man? I guess these are the questions no one else is asking, Hyle.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But so the caller's problem was the meme character that we call Bowsette. That name doesn't make any sense because Toadette is no longer involved in the combination at all, but her name is still there.
So Bowsette is Peach becoming Bowser, or is it Bowser?
No, Bowsette is Bowser becoming Peach.
Okay. Or
at least wearing the. It's Peach's form acting as a power up for Bowser.
Got you.
But people call it Bowsette. You see. Even
see.
Though Toadette is not involved in this combination.
We've removed Toadette from the equation entirely, but her name lingers behind. I get it. All right. Well.
Perhaps because there's no... I mean, how do you combine the names Bowser and Peach?
Beach. No. Powser just sounds... I don't know. It sounds like some sort of, like, ale or something. Like, I don't know. But to speak to Captain Lou, sometimes girls just want to have fun, Josh. And sometimes you just want to put on a crown and become the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Sometimes Bowser just wants to have fun too, and that's what he considers fun. And who are we to judge?
He loves Peach so much, he just wants to wear her flesh.
We've taken too many calls, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, so one of our 14 callers, well, 13, because Traveler of the Stars double dipped. One of our callers said they feel just more relieved than hyped, and I bring this up. I'm going to make a Tolkien reference again. I'm sorry, but I think this is a better analogy than the hospital one that seemed to put everyone off. I feel like the hobbits at the end of Peter Jackson's Return of the King. So if you're not familiar, I don't know, are you familiar at all with Lord of the Rings, Josh?
The only time I ever attempted to watch Lord of the Rings, my family rented it and we watched it, and it was one of the only movies I've ever fallen asleep during. So I would not say I'm familiar. No.
I used to not understand like Middle Earth or even high fantasy. I've eventually gotten into it as I've aged, but I really like the world of Tolkien and I love the movies and like hobbits, they're home buddies. They're people who really just like hanging out at home in the Shire, drinking.
Okay, now that is relatable to me though.
Yeah, they like drinking, they like eating, they like the simpler things in life. And so when the hobbits, the four hobbits of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Fellowship of the Ring, when they go on this grand adventure to liberate Middle Earth from the forces of evil, what they really want to do is just get back to the Shire. Just like Bilbo in The Hobbit. He just wants to get back home and resume his simple life. He just daydreams about drinking, ale and smoking weed and, just getting back to, enjoying life. But the adventure they go on is so grand and so transforming and so dramatic that when they finally get home back to the Shire, it's just not the same. Like, they're relieved.
I see.
They're relieved, but they all kind of like look at each other like, we just can't enjoy this like we wanted to because we've been through so much. And that's the way I kind of feel now. Finally getting Diddy Kong and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Of course, I'm ecstatic and I'm relieved, but with an emphasis on relieved because it was such a journey to get here that, and the fact that it happened at, nearly the last possible moment, and it's just been 9 years of this. I can just only like sigh and kind of grin and hold up my tankard and take a swig. That's the way I feel right now. Of course, when they actually come to the game, when Wave 6 of the Booster Course Pass is actually added, it's gonna be a fresh round of excitement because, oh my god, I'm actually getting to play as Diddy. I'm actually getting to play as Funky. I'm driving around these tracks I played 9 years ago when I was lamenting that Diddy wasn't here, and I'm finally having it come true. But at the same time, right now, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. So
yeah, so so the Hobbits are kind of like Rob Van Dam in ECW then, okay? And at the end of the movie, they're more like Rob Van Dam when ECW comes back in 2006, and it's just not the same anymore. Like you thought you wanted this, and you do want this. It's not that you're not excited about it. It's just that you've changed so much and you've come so far.
Right.
And you need to take the fall for Sabu so he doesn't get fired, so now you're in big trouble.
Right, and then, so yeah, okay, well, we're just gonna have to accept that the Big Show gets the title, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because CM Punk is coming into ECW, and I've heard great things about CM Punk, and, and then, you flash forward 13, 14, 15 years, and then CM Punk's coming to AEW, and you're like, oh man, I can't wait for
and
CM
boy,
Punk.
you think you want it, right? It's the same thing again.
You think, because you waited so long for CM Punk to come back. It's been,
of course,
like he's been gone for, what is it, a decade or more, and it's like, oh my god, he's finally coming back, and you think you want it, and then you finally get it, and it's not what you were expecting.
Diddy Kong is old, and he's tired, and he works with fucking children.
And he's a jungle boy, too, which...
Oh, shit.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.